if you have like a rat infestation, do you feel it's morally justified to kill the rats?
Yes, I do.
So your perspective is that humans have some type of higher standing than other animals.
My life is, even if suppose a human came in uninvited to my house, I'm calling the police.
Why do you think that the rat or the rats, they don't have claim over that space?
I am saying I do not exploit animals. But when it comes to, again, animals that are living in this world, I am also alive in this world. You do realize it's a battle for survival, right? In that battle, I am not going to back down. But in the system that I live in, I am not going to create a system where animals are being exploited.
Like if I had to interchange that with human beings, and there are other human beings within my same space, I try to make sense with them. Obviously, if that doesn't work, then I'll move away. I wouldn't like slaughter 50 people just because I believe like this is my place and
you understand how and why wars take place, right?
Two beings want to survive, right? And you are saying that it's okay to put your survival ahead.
Yeah, because in that moment of survival, I am going to fight for my own survival. How can I give up my life?
So your life is more valuable to you?
To me, yeah, duh. Me and you are stuck here, okay, under rubble. There is some food, only if one person eats it, they can eat and survive and they can come out. What do you do?
I think I would ask you if like what your position on it is. Let's just say we were all stuck here. Like, would you subdue a human being to consume them for food if that was your only source of food?
Although it sounds horrifying on camera, the answer is yes. Humans engage in cannibalism. Dude, here's the thing though. You are asking plenty of questions like this where I have to give an answer in a surreal scenario, and the difference is that I am being very honest. Even though what I say sounds distasteful, I am being honest because you can read about places where like people got stranded on an island. The human mind goes crazy when it doesn't get food and water for so many days. It will do anything to survive. The answer you give right now seems very polished and nice on paper. That's not how this world works at all. Sure.
Interested in going vegan? Watch Arvind's full guide to being vegan in India.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Face to Face with Arvind. And in today's episode, we have another guest from the general public, Mr. Johan Christopher. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Arvind. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. So just first of all, curious, like how did you even know that this is taking place? What made you choose to want to come? Like, explain, like.
Coincidentally, I was following you like last year. I'm interested in truth and philosophy, and I've been seeing like a lot of your videos on social media, and so that drew me to your content, and I wanted to discuss with you. Coincidentally, this opportunity to debate you came up, so I just took it with both hands, and here we are.
Awesome. How long have you been following my work, if I can ask?
I don't know exactly. I think probably at least for the past 2-3 years.
2-3 years. Okay. You've been watching which platform? YouTube or Instagram?
YouTube first, and then recently Instagram as well.
Okay, fine. So before we even dive into this topic, I thought it would be interesting, first of all, to talk about so you know what veganism is, obviously. Like now that you've been following me, you know the definition of the word means and what I'm trying to promote. You understand everything. Before we even delve into the arguments that you've brought forth, I thought it will be good to first get an understanding as to what we agree on before we go into what we disagree on. Is there, first of all, any kind of agreement at all you have in regards to the ideology that I am propagating? Like,
yes, I think that animal suffering requires some moral consideration.
Okay.
And I think that animal suffering is only fully justified when human survival is at stake, and that's why I'm okay with medical testing. I think that would be a point of agreement.
Okay. So you do feel that animals have moral value? They do.
Yeah, they require some moral consideration because they feel pain.
Okay, fair enough. No, the reason I'm emphasizing that is because the most of the debates is, first of all, to even make people accept that, which they don't. Till the very end, they fight tooth and nail saying, no, animals don't deserve any value or any consideration whatsoever. So we agree upon that part.
Yeah.
And then regarding veganism, like, do you feel that a plant-based diet can be made to work for human health, or do you have opinions like a plant-based diet can, like?
I think that plant-based diet is a pretty recent development. I think veganism itself is not more than even more than 100 years. So this plant-based diet is just a few years old, and it needs to be tested before we can take it up as universal for all human beings. I also think that given that we've spent millions of years eating meat. Just a few studies which I've come across for this debate, I don't think that they justify switching completely to a plant-based diet.
All right, fine. Okay, now that we have set like somewhat of a ground and understanding, I guess you can proceed with your argument. I think one thing you told me before we rolled the cameras were you want to first be given some time to build your case, a strong case, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you're building this case, does this require me to answer yes or no, or does it just require you alone to just speak? How is it like?
No, it's just one coherent case, and just from beginning to end, it's just one message, and we can do a back and forth after that.
All right, fine. You know what? Go on. Let's start it. I want to hear out your arguments, and I'll try to make a note of everything as and when you speak. So in case I need to bring them back up, I can. Sure. And in case it goes on for too long, we'll probably have to stop and then go bit by bit. But yeah, you know what? The floor is all yours, Johan. Go on. Yeah.
So my position is, I believe that there is no good moral objection to the killing of animals for human purposes. I obviously believe that killing animals for no reason is objectionable. And as I said earlier, I think animal suffering requires some moral consideration. And the only time it's fully justified is when human survival is at stake.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's broadly like two ways that we can justify the killing of animals for human purposes. One is a religious argument and another is a secular argument. The religious argument is if you believe in a God who's a creator and he created everything including animals, and you believe that God is a moral lawgiver, then it proceeds from that it is morally justified to kill animals for human purposes, if he indicates in his scriptures so. And from a secular justification, I would say like there's two things that we use to justify morality. One is reason and the other is empathy.
Mm-hmm.
While reason is mathematical, as long as the premises are true, the conclusion has to be true. Empathy, on the other hand, is unreliable. And I'll explain more about why empathy is unreliable later. I'll focus on reason. So when we're talking about the killing of animals, what we have to consider is why killing is wrong at all in the human context, right? Why do we attribute value to human life?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few reasons for it. One is empathy. That is, we feel bad when other people are feeling bad, like if they're in pain or if they die, right? And we also have the second point is reciprocity or social contract. We treat people well because we want people to treat us well. The third point is utilitarianism, which is the idea that when the people around us are doing well, then we also tend to do well. The other point is human dignity, and human dignity I feel is a very human specific thing. We afford humans human dignity because we have self-awareness, autonomy, and also we are moral creatures. So therefore we give human dignity to humans alone. And there's another point, which is belief in intrinsic moral worth, which I feel is not justified from a secular perspective. It borrows from a religious perspective. In fact, the American Declaration of Independence states, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. So I'll just move on to the empathy part. So I believe like empathy can be misguided. The Oxford University Press defines empathy as the ability to imagine and understand the thoughts, perspectives, and emotions of another person. So there are a few studies that show how empathy can be misguided. So one study is called On Seeing Human, a 3-factor theory of anthropomorphism. So it discusses this concept called anthropomorphism,
Mm-hmm.
which is the tendency to imbue the real or imagined behavior of non-human agents with human-like characteristics, motivations, intentions, or emotions. And so basically its implication is like a lot of the vegan arguments, they equate humans with animals,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a natural bias that we have. There's another study called Reinterpreting the Empathy Altruism Relationship, when 1:1 equals oneness. And what this study found out is we tend to empathize more with people who are similar to us. And we know this to be true. Like if you see like pet owners, really, like dog and cat pet owners will fight for the rights of dogs and cats. But on the other hand, they would turn a blind eye towards the animal rights in general, right? And also we see the studies where human children, they tend to discriminate between animals that look more like humans and animals that don't, right? They empathize more with animals that have human features, right? And we also empathize with non-human, non-life. So fictional characters, and in recent times even AI, we tend to like show empathy
Mm-hmm.
and emotions towards them. There's a study titled An Experimental Study of Apparent Behavior, where they found out that humans, when they are shown on a screen a geometric shape just moving around, they started ascribing intentions, emotions, and even moral rules to these objects. So there's enough evidence to show that our empathy can be misled and can be misguided. I think the only moral consideration is the emotional toll that the family and the group members of an animal may face as a result of an animal being killed. And I think there's enough empiric data that suggests that prey animals do not mourn the loss of their loved ones the same way that humans do. It's not evolutionarily advantageous to them. They do have stress responses, and only insofar as much that they should be reunited with their group member. And once that period ends, they just revert back to baseline, and they live like very normally. And there's this study done on Maki monkeys. It's called Maki mothers' responses to the deaths of their infants. And this study was basically to differentiate how humans grieve versus primates. And they found out that when the primate mothers, they lost their young ones, it took just a period of 2 weeks for them to revert from their stress responses, restlessness, and all these type of apparent grieving behavior to revert back to baseline and start behaving normal, like monkeys usually do. And this is very different from humans, because humans, if they lose their young, then they grieve for years or probably even a lifetime. So I think I have made my case. These are like my main points. I'd just like to summarize my argument. I think that there's no moral objection to killing an animal, or no strong one, for human purposes alone. And animal suffering deserves some moral consideration, but is justified if human survival is on the line. Empathy, while powerful, is unreliable when applied to animals. Animal grief is not comparable to human grief, lessening concerns about social or familial emotional trauma. Therefore, killing animals for human purposes is not immoral in itself, so long as unnecessary suffering is avoided. Feeling sadness at animal death is natural, but building moral philosophy on those emotions risks distortion. Yeah, here I end my argument. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. That's not as big as I thought it would be. It is quite clear and concise.
Thanks.
So yeah, I guess we'll begin with what you've said. I've made some notes. Obviously, I couldn't note everything. What I'll probably have to ask you to repeat again is the ending points you closed upon, because that's where you pretty much restate why you came to the conclusion. So not immediately. When I have doubts, I'll make sure. So the first thing is, I notice you keep mentioning this word, some moral consideration towards animals. What do you mean by exactly some moral consideration? What is it based upon?
Some moral consideration, I base it on, like, we have receptors in our skin that detects pain, and animals also have similar pain receptors. Therefore, I think it makes sense to give moral consideration to animals who are having a negative experience of pain. So that's why I think they require some consideration. I'd also like to record that I think human suffering is different from animal suffering. Humans, we think symbolically, we think about the future, we are self-aware. So therefore, I mean, there's a distinction between suffering and pain. I believe that humans suffer more, and animals probably more just have the sensation of pain. Yeah,
agreed. Yeah,
that's why I say some moral consideration.
Okay, but can we give complete moral consideration to the pain, though? Would you be all right with that statement? Obviously, since the human is psychologically more advanced, like for example, someone could call someone from an anonymous number and threaten them, and create different types of fear and illusions in the human mind and make them suffer. Same thing cannot obviously be done to a chicken or a pig, because they do not have a context or awareness of that. So obviously, when it comes to suffering, fine, a human being can suffer more. I'm aware of this because we are obviously more intelligent in that way. But can we give, you said we can give some moral consideration. I want to ask you, can we give full moral consideration in regards to pain? Because they feel pain just like us. Because the reason I'm kind of hammering this is because you kept saying some moral. So that some moral was a distinguishing between pain and suffering. Was that why you said some? Yeah. Okay. But if we were to now distinguish them, say suffering is somewhat debatable among animals how much they suffer. But can we say in terms of pain, they pretty much feel pain just like us?
I think
not all of them. I mean, the vertebrate animals I'm talking about.
I think it's very important to highlight the suffering part. They feel pain similar to us, but we feel pain plus suffering. And so I think the moral consideration has to be appropriate according to this fact, right? So I feel it should be proportionate.
But even if you take only pain into consideration, it should still be proportional. Because the pain, in terms of pain, it's the same either way.
If,
Like,
yeah,
what I mean by that is like a burning rod in my hand hurts as much in a pig's body.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
a cow's body.
But yeah, definitely it does. But the human has the suffering aspect as well. So I think on a case by case basis, like I may, like for instance, I may be okay with animal enduring like some pain, like some amount of pain, which I can comprehend as a human, based on the facts that I have. I can empathize and I can like avoid that to them, but I wouldn't like I feel like it's absolutely wrong to hurt a person. Like, I don't believe the same thing about animals to the same degree. I hope I'm clear.
You're making a statement clear. I just want to know what you base that on. If I hope, I don't know if you already answered that, because I don't think I got the answer I'm looking for. My only point was that, sure, you don't have to right now, in terms of suffering, give a comparison to human and animal in the scenario. But if the animal feels 100% pain, can we give 100% moral consideration to that 100% pain? Is a yes or no question?
Yeah, I think if you took human pain and animal pain and put them side by side, I think that you would have to give them like a similar thing. Except I think there's a caveat. Like I don't know if I think I don't know what you think about the word species, right? If it means that I value human beings or my own species over other species, that is my position.
Yeah, I get that. Right? But my only point was, I'm trying to jump from some moral consideration to full moral consideration in regards to pain. Would that be a fair statement?
No, because like I said, right, I'm a species if the definition of
so even though the pain is both across same species, you would still say you would not give full moral consideration to animals. They just like, we're talking right now from like a
not equivalent to a human being.
You're saying the pain is not equal to a human being.
No, I'm saying the moral consideration is not equivalent to a human.
Despite the fact that they both feel the same amount of pain.
Both feel the same amount of pain.
Despite that, you would still value a human.
Yeah, human. Like if human is facing the same amount of pain, I'll empathize more with the human than an animal who's facing the same amount of pain. I believe we're all inherently species, and there's probably very rare cases when we're not. I think you are as well. When I hear some of your arguments, we'll probably get into that.
All right, we will. Okay. Now, there's one word you kept using when talking right now, that is killing. You kept talking about killing of animals. I want to reiterate one thing very clearly, because there shouldn't be any confusion going forward. Yeah. Killing is not something alone that veganism wants to condemn. Because killing, first of all, I don't even want to use that word when we're defining veganism, because, I mean, you have to kill animals to live in this world. Vegans also kill animals. There are circumstances under which animal killing is necessary. So I would not want to use the word killing. What I would try to use the word is exploitation. You understand? Can we end animal exploitation is the only argument I'm putting forth. Veganism basically is a rejection of animal exploitation, not a rejection of animal killing.
But I think like when we talk about animal killing, you do add that layer of exploitation on it, right? Like by definition, animal killing.
I'm adding animal exploitation on which there is maybe you can add a layer of killing if you want, but I prefer not to use that term so loosely, because killing of animals either way is like something that we humans, whether you're vegan or non-vegan, cannot escape. But in a vegan world, you can completely eradicate the exploitation of animals. Do you want me to highlight the difference between the two?
No. Do you think I'll just ask you an example, and then probably like I'll know what your position is. Do you think killing an animal for food, like say like if you could like electrically like stun an animal like unconscious and then kill it, do you think that that's for food, obviously, with the purpose? Now, do you think that that's animal exploitation?
Yes.
Why is that animal exploitation?
Because you are used. That actually has to. We have like a big backstory to that. Because you are using the body of that animal for your benefit.
Aren't we using like every food that we have is a living organ? Like we consume organic food, right? We are consuming somebody's body, right? Like
in the sense, are you saying that because the animal's body has been biodegraded in the soil and then that soil has been used to grow plants? I just want to understand, is that a fair representation of your argument, or that's an incorrect representation?
No, I think like what I want to understand is,
what does the question mean? What is the previous question? What is it like? Give me an example of that. When you said are we not all eating bodies, what does that mean?
Yeah, so what I mean is, like if you had to compare an animal and a plant, right? Subtracting the pain element, like what is the distinction between them? Like you're saying that if you kill an animal, subtracting the suffering aspect, it's exploitation, right? And I know your position is that plants don't feel pain.
Yeah, they're
So then,
insentient.
so how is eating a plant? I'm assuming not exploitation according to you, and eating an animal is a dead, or rather, an animal that's endured a pain-free death.
Okay, we are like right now. So I was actually wanting to go point by point for your thing, but now going into another topic right now. I don't mind touching upon this, but then we'll continue because I have to know obviously
go ahead.
respond to your points, right?
Yeah.
So first to talk about, there's a lot of stuff involved here. Can you first define what is a pain-free death?
So I don't want to get too much into the details because I'm not a production person, but I gave you an example, right? Like if you could stun an animal and kill them, or say like even like say even a very plain example, like you shoot an animal and it dies instantly. Yeah, but I think the stunning the animal is a better example.
No, I would reject both of those statements for the same reason. I would reject that in the human rights context as well.
But
I reject that. For example, we are talking right now about veganism. We're talking about animal rights, right? So in animal rights, you are taking away the life of this organism who did not want to die, regardless of whether they wanted to suffer or not. Because the point is that even in a human case, we cannot be like, there is a terrorist, but he is a nice guy. He gives chloroform before shooting people in the head. Like, that doesn't necessarily take away or make it ethical. You get my point?
Yeah, but that's where I think you're committing a fallacy, right? Like you're equating human and animal as being one. Right? Like you could make the same argument regarding plants, right? You could say like you're chopping off trees, or that's equivalent to beheading. Obviously, anyone's going to intuitively feel that
equal to beheading of what? Equal to beheading
of a human being.
So are you making that argument?
Yeah, I feel like you're making a parallelism between animals and human beings that I don't really see like what your justification is for it.
Oh, the
like,
justification for that is, sure. The justification is that they both fall biologically under the animal kingdom. And right now we're talking only about the sentient animals. That is, animals who can feel pain and suffering, have a subjective awareness, and are conscious in this world. That is called sentience, right? So
correct.
You have to draw a demarcation line at one point. I am drawing the line at sentience. When there is sentience in the organism, I am saying that they have moral value and consideration. When there is no sentience in the organism, I am saying they do not have moral value and consideration.
Yeah, but your argument is when they do have sentience, the only reason that they have moral consideration is because they can feel pain, right? And I am
correct.
saying
Yes.
that
and they're conscious. They're conscious in this world. Yeah, two things.
Yeah, but conscious, even plants are conscious, right?
No, you need to have a brain to produce consciousness. Without a brain, one cannot be conscious in this world. Like the consciousness reality that you and me experience right now, what we're talking as an individual mind.
You mean like the qualia? Okay, that's just a philosophy term. So the subjective experience.
No, I'm talking in a biological term, not in a philosophical term. See, if we go in that regard and start asking questions like, how do we know anything is real? How do you know that? If we go into that, if you open up that can of worms, means then everything.
Okay. So let's just stick to this. Like, I just want to understand what distinction you're making, right? Like, if pain is taken out of the picture, why is it?
But if it's taken out of the picture, then sentience is lost. I told you, I draw the line at sentience. When someone is sentient,
right. And so your argument is that animals feel pain. Right, and that's a bad experience. We both agree on that. So therefore, it's morally objectionable to exploit animals in terms of causing them to suffer. I think we both
yes, that is
with
correct.
That.
Yes,
but I'm giving you a hypothetical where the pain is taken out of the equation. Right, it's just an animal that's not feeling any suffering whatsoever, and they are killed. Like, what is your moral objection to that?
I mean, if in this hypothetical, we have, say, this hypothetical cow in front of us, can't stand, can't walk, just a lump of flesh there because there's no brain, there's no nervous system, just happens to be the shape of what we know as a cow. Do we even call that a cow at that point? It's just this mass of protoplasm lying in front of us.
Is it okay to like they're still alive, right? Like they're just unconscious.
Yeah, they're alive, but there's no.
So do you think in that case that it's okay?
No, there is no. I will not give moral consideration to insentient organisms. I don't even give moral. We don't have to go hypothetically. We can go realistically. There are insentient animals, like jellyfish.
Yeah, they don't have.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't give moral consideration towards them.
No, so then I still am not able to bridge it here. Like, so what? So are you saying that you're okay with stunning an animal and killing them?
No, but see, stunning happens why? You are taking a sentient animal and you're knocking them out, right?
Yeah, painlessly.
But you're taking a sentient animal, and I'm saying that's wrong. Animal rights, veganism says that we should not be exploiting animals because they are sentient. It's like saying again, I have a human here, and I'm giving them chloroform. They didn't feel a thing. I shot them after that.
Yeah, but I told you, like, I justified human morality, right? I think
so we are now, that's what I'm saying, we never even addressed it. We went elsewhere.
But I just want to press you on this. Like,
go on.
If you take pain out of the equation, right? Like, your entire argument rests on the fact that animals feel pain, just like us.
And they are conscious in this world.
Even like the reason why you stress on sentience, I mean, the definition of sentience according to you is the ability to feel pain.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So if that's taken out of the equation, as you said, the cow is just like a lump. Then what is the moral objection?
We have to be specific though, Johan. I said the cow doesn't have a brain or a nervous system. So I don't. Do we even call it a cow at this point? I told you it's like a bunch of what we know as a cow. It has horns, has everything, has eyes.
No, are we talking about the same thing? Let's just stick to the example that I gave. If a cow is stunned.
No, I told you very clearly. Absolutely not. Do you not understand my point? Again, just let me make it very clear. There is a sentient animal. You are rendering them unconscious. That does not equal to insentient organism. Do you first understand that point? Rendering a conscious sentient animal unconscious does not make it an insentient organism. Yes or no?
Yeah, but it does take away from your moral objection, right?
No, wait. Again, I'm telling you, sentient organism, if you knocking them out to make them unconscious at that moment, just like how if I was going under some medication for surgery, doesn't now suddenly make me insentient. I'm unconscious. For temporarily, my organs are being shut down from feeling pain, right?
Yeah.
But that is not the same as an insentient organism, an organism that is not even born with the ability to perceive or feel in this world. You're comparing a plant which lacks the organs, was never even born with those organs, with an organism which happened to be knocked out. That's an invalid comparison. Do you get my point here?
But I don't see why that's an objection. Why that's a moral objection? Okay. I can see that there's a difference, right?
Right.
So like I've seen you like make this argument before, like I think one of the students when they said like they talked about humane slaughter and you gave a similar example that in a humans like say like I think the example you gave is like a person who's deaf or blind, a human being. Is not the same as a plant,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I can see. I feel like that type of reasoning is invalid from a moral perspective. Like what?
Wait, hold up. We didn't jump to morals here. We're talking about biology right now. You were asking me what I based my morals on.
Yeah. So my counter argument is like, do you think that structure? Okay, like we like say we call this a room, right? Do you think that a car which is empty, like say like a caravan, do you think that it can also be called a room, or it cannot be used as a room?
It can be.
It can be, right? I don't see like you keep making this argument. You keep jumping over some hoop which I'm not able to identify.
Tell me exactly where the jump is happening. I would like to know.
I think the jump is happening where you're saying that I argue for animals because they feel pain, that they're sentient, and by sentient they feel pain, right? And that is wrong. But then if you remove that pain aspect of that, like you've removed it, and therefore like it still remains wrong because they were once sentient.
I feel like we are going in circles. I feel like you are jumping in the hoop. Here's my point. I'm telling you very clearly. What about this comparative example do you not understand? Giving a human being chloroform and shooting them in the head. They didn't feel anything.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. I feel like that's where you mix up human morality and our moral obligations towards animals.
I am approaching both the morality in the same vein.
That shouldn't be the case. Like you have to justify why you put animal like how we treat animals equivalent to how we treat humans. You have to justify that.
Why I take that position? You mean?
Yeah. Why you take that position?
Because both are sentient. And I'm not saying in the sense
both, but I do feel like maybe I'm not communicating right, but I do feel like you use the sentient argument to justify using pain, and when that pain aspect is taken out of the picture, you still jump to the sentient part, which the main argument for sentience is the pain.
That's why I keep telling you I never spoke about killing. Remember my definition. I told we should not exploit animals. I am saying and
I asked you if killing an animal is exploitation.
It does fall under it.
And you said it is.
Yes, but it's not.
So why are we going back?
Yeah, because it's not just only about killing. Again, if you want to talk about it in that perspective, I'll ask the question, how did you get the animal? Where did the animal come from?
No.
No. Because if you want an animal to be slaughtered right now, you have to go and purchase an animal, right?
No, let's just say like, Okay, let's just say I'm in the wild. I'm just asking you like a very
Hold up.
hypothetical.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying if you want an animal, you still have to once again take part in the breeding of animals, which is why we mass produce animals into existence in this world, right? And therefore, we then take them, we exploit them, and we kill them and we eat them, right?
See, I don't want to get into the production part. Like I told you,
But,
like I'm
but
not an
it's
expert.
all. But without the production part, how did the animal randomly appear in the room?
I want to I want to focus on the morality aspect. Like I'm not an expert in production, but morality is something that I think supersedes like the production part. Like that's why I'd ask you a hypothetical. Right? Like if say there's an animal in the wild, right? And say like I know in India it's illegal, but say if you're in America, you just shoot the animal for food. Like why is that wrong?
So again, in this particular context, I'll have to ask questions to know whether it's right or wrong. Without asking questions, I can't actually answer that. Can I ask questions in the hypothetical just to get another?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Number one, is this person in a scenario where they do not have options for plant-based food? Like they do not have an option to eat.
They do.
Yeah, then it's definitely wrong. Yeah. I mean, it will still be wrong even if they don't have the option. But as an activist, there's nothing I can do there. I cannot necessarily. Okay. I have to give a solution, right? If I'm saying something is wrong, okay, what do I do next instead, Arvind? Starve? I can't say that. So
let's talk about the situation where they do have alternate food and they're killing an animal. You say it's wrong.
Yes.
Right? And then you would argue that the animal is sentient.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Can we replace the word sentient with the ability to feel pain?
Go on.
Okay. So if we remove the ability of the animal to feel pain, like wouldn't that remove a moral obligation to the towards that pain aspect of the animal?
Do you not get the point I'm making? You're removing it from whom? An already sentient being.
Okay, why is that morally wrong?
Why is it morally wrong?
Yeah.
Because that's the framework I'm giving. I am saying that I am drawing the line at morality. I'm at sentience. I'm drawing. If you ask me why that is morally wrong, I say, look, like how you painted a picture. How about this then? Let's go through these points right now. Maybe because we're not addressing this, maybe we are having a disagreement right now.
Fine, sure.
Fine, just go this right now. So first thing was, I stopped it here. It's about I'm against exploitation, not necessarily killing. Next is another point you brought up about intrinsic value. Could you please give me your definition of intrinsic value? What exactly do you mean by that?
I told you that I think I made it very clear.
In America, they declared,
I don't want to use the intrinsic value argument because I feel like it borrows from a religious perspective. Right, like I don't think that there's a good secular argument for why.
Can I try to make an argument? Yeah,
sure, go for it.
I want to say that as a living organism, creature that's alive in this world, I value my life. I cherish my life. I don't want to be physically harmed. Therefore, I say I have value. That is intrinsic. It comes from within me. My value apparently is not based on how useful I am to others, but rather the fact that I find myself to be worthy of being alive. Because I don't want to be harmed and I just want to live another day.
Don't you think every living thing like wants to live?
I would disagree with the word want here. I would say every sentient being wants to live, but every living being strives to live. Because want once again becomes a desire, which requires a mind to want something.
Okay. So I just like to ask you a question then. Like, how do you attribute value from one sentient being to another? Like, do you believe, for instance, that human sentience and animal sentience, because of sentience, humans and animals are like equally intrinsically valuable?
In terms of the right, so again, now we're talking about society, so I have to speak about rights right now. I have to use that word because again, if we're talking about it in general on Earth and the universe, then there's no rights, there's no nothing, no morality, right? But I'm talking again from a societal perspective. Yes, in regards to the fact that animals should be given bodily autonomy and the right to not be exploited as slaves by us, in that regards, they're equal to us. Apart from that, no. Then what I'm trying to say is that I'm not saying that animals should have the right to vote. I'm not saying they should have the right to drive a car. That's not what I'm saying. Based on what the one basic fundamental right, the right to not be exploited by us humans. That's the right we have to give them.
Do you think that all sentient beings deserve equal moral consideration in this regard?
Yes, because they all are sentient, yes.
Okay, but do you think that we deserve like more consideration than the sentient beings or these other sentient beings or equal consideration?
That's a good question. I believe that both should be given equal consideration, although if you were to see my work, I kind of unfortunately have to work in a, you can say, quote unquote, human supremacist kind of point of way, because unfortunately we are the ones dominating society. And if I want to convince my species, I have to kind of work with them, which kind of sometimes impedes certain rights. But yeah, yes, the ultimate society I want to create is one in which they are equal. Yes. Again, in regards to the right not to be exploited.
Okay, then I just like to understand, like, how would you, justify killing, for instance, cockroaches or mosquitoes? I know you've spoken about mosquitoes before. If you think that all sentient life is equally valuable, then why is it that our life is more valuable than that of other sentient beings?
Are you talking about
my right to live or my right to survive? Why is that more important than the survival needs of other?
You're talking now in the specific scenario about mosquitoes and cockroaches, example you just gave. Yeah, first of all,
rats even.
Okay, fine. Rats are different. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
First of all, I don't even know if mosquitoes and cockroaches are sentient. The scientific consensus, we don't know whether insects are sentient or not. We have no clue. But just to be safe, we vegans err on the side of caution, which is why we vegans, if you know, do not wear silk and we don't consume honey either. Like I told you, we don't exploit animals. We are not taking part in that. Now, regarding killing, you have to first understand that when an organism, be it a human or an animal, tries to attack me or harm me, I have the right to defend my biology. We vegans are not asking people to get bitten by dogs or be torn up alive or be bitten by mosquitoes and getting malaria. That's not the point. You too have the right to live. So obviously, as there are different species on Earth, there is going to be a fight for survival, obviously. So when one species, even within our own, is going to try and fight with us and we cannot reason here, we have to fight back. That's what's happening.
Then let's talk about the rat example, right? So if there's you have like a rat infestation at your place, right? Do you feel it's morally justified to kill the rats?
Yes, I do.
How so?
The reason being is because I have now demarked this place as where I live, my habitat, and there is another group of individuals coming and living there, and their existence could very much harm my existence. If it's just one or two rats, which is what happened in my house actually, we chased them out, we plugged up the holes, they didn't come back. When there is one or two cockroaches, we catch them and we leave them. You mentioned the word infestation. Yes, when there's an infestation, I cannot die. I cannot let them be in my habitat. So obviously in that time, I do engage in lethal action on them.
So who decides this is my place and this is your place?
In this regard, it's unfortunately us humans. We are the dominant creature. Yes.
Right. So you do like, so your perspective is that humans have some type of higher standing than other animals. Like our life is intrinsically more valuable.
Life is. But here's the thing. Even if suppose a human came in uninvited to my house, I'm calling the police. If I had a gun, I'll say, don't move. Stand right there or I'll shoot you. Right. Why does it matter if they're a rat or a human?
Yeah, but that's different, right? That's because we have a understanding amongst ourselves. We have a legal system where, this is my place and this is your place, right?
Yeah, but
and under that legal framework, then we can justify that if someone is coming to my house, that he's an intruder, right?
Yeah,
but you can't say the same thing about animals, right? Like if a rat comes to your place, like we have literally like taken over a lot of forest land, right? Like I don't see how
the distinction
you're justifying that this is my place and I get to decide that my existence over here is more important than yours.
The main question is how my existence is more important. How do I, if you're asking me, how do I define if it's my place? I mean, I don't know what the laws took place to decide how we humans got together. Because even amongst we humans, we have problems like the rich live in this class of the city, the poor live there.
Yeah, let's not sidetrack. I'm specifically asking you,
why my lab?
Why do you think that the rat or the rats, they don't have claim over that space?
Because as a human being, I have claimed that as my space. And again, I'm telling you, if we...
How do you, what gives you the authority to claim some place as your place?
It is the framework that we, as I told you, I don't know exactly, it's a framework that we humans have built in civilization.
Amongst us humans, right? But your moral position is that you believe that all sentient creatures who have the desire to live, they get to be, all their desires to live give them intrinsic value, and there's no one sentient life that has a higher intrinsic value.
We made a jump here. That's not what I said from the beginning. I'm being very clear on that. I am saying I do not exploit animals. The animals that are right now, the rats that are being exploited, say for example in the cosmetic industry or the medical industry, where they're being bred into existence just to have chemicals tested on them, I oppose that. I don't buy, for example, the soap.
That's
I
not
use.
what I'm asking.
Hold on, wait. But wait, that's something. The soap that I use or the shampoo that I use is not tested on animals, the toothpaste and stuff. But when it comes to, again, animals that are living in this world, I am also alive in this world. You do realize it's a battle for survival, right? You realize that we live on Earth and it's a battle between different species to proliferate and survive. In that battle, I am not going to back down. But in the system that I live in, I am not going to create a system where animals are being exploited. Do you understand a distinction here, or do you see no distinction here?
No, I see that you're using like survival as some type of justification.
Can I give another
for
example?
valuing your
Can I
life
give an
over-
example?
No.
If I were to just kind of like say, take this example you're giving me and drop it into the human rights context, okay, to give it some more understanding. How do we know what India is? Who decided the border of India? You don't have to answer this. Just throwing this rhetorical questions right now. Okay?
Again, you're going to like human frameworks.
Exactly.
And,
But listen, that's the whole point. Like, see, just rhetorical questions. How do we know what the border of India is? Who do these
we
borders?
decided it.
Hold on, but I told you rhetorical questions. You don't have to answer these questions. They're
Fine.
rhetorical.
Sorry.
So, who knows where the border of India is? How do we say we are Indian or you are Chinese, you are Pakistani? How do we know these differences? And then what will you do, Arvind, if tomorrow you're saying here, Arvind, that apparently I should not kill other human beings in India? Okay, great. But what will you do if a bunch of Pakistanis decide to come over tomorrow, thousands of them, in droves trying to take over your land? What will you do? Oh, apparently there your human rights doesn't count? Do you understand that we are all in a battle for survival? There is no clear-cut solution when it comes between even humans and humans. When one group decides to attack another group or take over another area, we don't have an answer for that. But just because we don't have an answer for that, I am saying we should not now reject a message against human slavery. And I am rejecting a message that is against animal slavery. Do you find this to be a valid response?
Got it. I think you're citing like survival as justification for killing the rats in that example.
Yes.
I would like to ask you a question, right?
Sure.
Like, another hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
In a situation where, say, a bunch of human beings had invaded your house,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that it's morally justified to kill them?
If depending on what they're doing, and yes, if they've invaded my house, I'll ask them to get the hell out. And if I had a gun and they're not leaving, I would I have to protect myself and my family. Yes. They can just come inside and take my resources, take my food, harm my people. I will fight back, 100%.
What if they're just staying there?
They need my consent on that, Johan. They need my consent.
I understand that humans need your consent, but why do animals need your consent?
They don't, which is why, like I told you, when non-lethal options are possible, I pick the non-lethal option. The word used was infestation. Infestation means they've taken over. It's all them. It's them or me. I fight.
Because
And I'm so sorry.
Sure.
But you do realize once again, and I want to make these distinctions very clear because I think you're asking fair points, but I want to make sure from my side I give all of the distinctions properly. As I said, I'm against animal exploitation. Notice how when you asked me about Arvind, we're killing the animal. I told you, wait. No, it's not just killing, buddy. There's a whole backstory to it, where the animal came from and stuff, right? Can I just show you something? Because I think this will kind of give you an exact understanding as to what I mean when I say animal exploitation. Just the reason is because I keep emphasizing on the word exploitation, because the problem is actually not even the killing. I'll tell you where the problem starts. This is where the problem starts. And this is something that we humans do. We breed animals into existence. The animals that are, however, in the wild and trying to fight with me, we don't breed them into existence. This is a completely different game we're talking about. Do you understand that? Do you see the distinction here?
Yeah, but I do think you're sidetracking from earlier.
Okay, which part? Go on.
That how you tend to value your human life over that of other. I mean, you do say that all are equal, all sentient beings have intrinsic moral value, and they should be treated equally. Like if
they should not be exploited.
They all, rather, they all have a right to life. Correct?
I never said that, Johan. I never said that.
You don't think all sentient beings have a right to life?
I can say they have a desire to live. Maybe they have a.
But doesn't intrinsic moral value mean like a right to life? Like,
it does, but then how does that translate over to society? See, in society, end of the day, we have to write down laws. I have to give a framework, right? I can't just randomly say like, oh, you know what? They have the right to life. Okay, but Arvind, that's why I can bring you. I kill animals. There are reasons to. Remember I told you in the beginning. There are reasons to kill animals. You can see the tape if you want. I specifically told that. I am not specifically against killing of animals, Johan. I told specifically the framework I work within is I do not exploit animals. That's all I can do. I can't do anything more than that.
But I'm just thinking out aloud, like in that scenario about the rats, right? Like I think like if I had to interchange that with human beings, right? If I feel like I have a space and there are other human beings within my same space, then I would just, I try to make sense with them. Obviously, if that doesn't work, then I'll move away. I wouldn't like slaughter like 50 people just because I believe like this is my place and I have authority.
You understand how and why wars take place, right? People from one group come there, they are not so much invited, the other group is hostile, but suddenly they come in the groups of thousands, this group tries to fight back. Like, yeah, like you are saying...
but don't you think like there's a difference between like killing like 100 rats and like slaughtering equal like 100 people?
From a moral perspective, you're asking me.
Yeah.
I would say no. In that regard, both are the same.
You think killing 100 people is the same as killing 100 rats?
I would say yes, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would have to say that, right? That's the position I'm taking. I'm saying that animal life is sentient, human life is sentience. I'm placing value on sentience. If both are sentient, and we live in a world where both humans are being killed and rats are being killed, if we could try to avoid scenarios that's happening to the nth degree possible, that would be awesome. But regardless of that, we can always create a system within society where we do not enslave or exploit either of those categories. Do you again get my statement? Can I just throw some more ideas to you? So since you find this to be crazy, and you might find this to be hypocritical of me to say that I would be willing to kill the rats which are infesting my house.
With the same feelings that you would kill human beings if they invaded your
house. In fact, I would probably be angrier if humans invaded me. They are more dangerous.
No, but would your sentiments towards killing be the same? I think that's the core of my question.
As in how I would feel?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, killing of a human would emotionally be more disturbing on me because it's a human. They're more similar to me biologically. So emotionally, yes, that will probably be more disturbing for me, obviously, than seeing a rat die. Yeah.
So I want to understand, like...
But in terms of pain and suffering, both suffer this. Okay, forget about suffer then. Both feel pain the same way, right? And I'm saying it's based on sentience. So yeah. But Johan, if I just ask you this question, you understand that through veganism right now, do you understand what I'm trying to do? I am not necessarily even talking about these issues you bring up. I am saying we have to create a society in which we have laws that state that humans cannot exploit animals. Because right now we have a system, the photo I showed you, animals being, you saw what's happening to them, right? Being bred into existence, their private parts being violated so that new beings can be born the next year to be exploited and killed. I am saying that this is a completely different scenario where we humans are actively bringing animals into existence as opposed to animals that just happen to live and me and them happen to not get along. Do you not see a distinction here between these two? Between animals bred into existence for human exploitation and an animal that just happens to be living in the world?
Yeah, I think that's a loaded question, right? Because we breed life into existence for our food all the time. Like we do that with plants. And the only like moral consideration when it comes to animals is that they can feel pain.
Right.
Which I already addressed.
Yeah.
And so I think it just brings us back to that point of why if suffering is taken out of the picture, why is it morally objectionable to kill an animal for food?
Yeah, and I'm still quite surprised that you're not getting my answer on that because you are just knocking out a sentient organism. I'm saying the moment they are sentient...
Why is that wrong? Like, just because you say it emphatically, it doesn't make it the right thing.
No, but you are knocking out a sentient organism, right? I'm saying if they are sentient, hands off. Leave them alone. If the animal is coming and messing with you, it's a different reason. If a dog tries to bite you, that's different. Okay.
But that doesn't work because sentience by definition is the ability to feel pain.
And be subjectively aware in this world and conscious, yes.
Okay. If that consciousness and the pain is taken out of the equation, you're still smuggling in morality for killing.
No, that's
okay. The only reason.
No. This is where you have to answer the back end question. So define to me exactly. Right now we have an organism here in front of us. Okay, an organism. I want you to define what does this organism look like, what does the internal components inside this aspect, which organism do we have here in front of us hypothetically? What does it look like?
Let's just say a pig.
A pig, okay. What it looks like a pig, like any other pig we see, okay, right?
What's your point?
No, yes or no? It looks like a pig, right?
Yeah, it looks like a pig. Yeah.
Does it have a brain?
Yeah, it does.
It's sentient. Is it alive? Is it alive?
No, but I'll try to like make this like as clear as possible. The only reason why it's morally objectionable to cause an animal to suffer is because they feel pain similar to us, right?
Yes.
And that's your argument from sentience.
Yes.
If the pain and the consciousness, which are your main core reasons for not harming an animal, is taken out of the picture, why is it that their previous ability to feel pain and be conscious a moral consideration while killing them?
My goodness, we're going on this the 10th time. Do you not?
No, but I feel like you're being clear. You're smuggling in sentience. Sentience, by definition, is the ability.
That's why I'm asking you
to be conscious and feel pain, as you said. If that's taken out of the picture, you're saying it was sentience once, therefore it's wrong. The entire reason it was wrong is because it was sentient. How are you smuggling the previous property?
No, you don't seem to understand. That's why I'm asking you two separate. Which scenario do you want to take? Do you want to take the scenario of right now you're defining the hypothetical pig, or do you want to take the scenario of where we knocked out the animal? Which scenario do you want to take first? Please tell me.
Isn't pig an animal?
No.
Knocked out the pig.
No. Wait. Hold up. See, we are going all over the place. There are two different scenarios right now.
Okay.
One is the scenario where you told an animal is being electrically stunned, right?
Yes.
That is one scenario A. Scenario B, you are right now building a hypothetical pig in front of me, and I asked asking you a question: what does it look like? Or does it have a brain? Or first of all, which scenario are we taking? I want you to tell me very clearly.
You brought up the pig scenario. I just brought up the
Doesn't
stunned
matter.
animal.
Right now, which scenario do you want to take?
Stunned animal.
Stunned animal. Okay, we'll go to scenario A, but we're leaving the pig aside right now.
Yeah.
There is a sheep right now in front of us. That sheep is sentient. As of now, she is looking, she's seeing, she's breathing, she's normal. Boom, stunned, sentience gone right now, temporarily, right? The point I'm saying is you should not be doing the boom thing to a sentient animal. The moment she's sentient, hands off.
Why so?
Because I am saying value should be given based on sentience because they too feel...
No. You're smuggling in something here. Value should be given based on sentience because sentience is the ability to be because plants feel pain, right? That's the core thing, and even consciousness.
Plants feel pain?
Sorry, my bad. Animals feel pain, my bad. Animals feel pain and they have a conscious experience. So if you're saying that if we stun them, right, they would lose these abilities. But you're saying that the very fact of causing them to lose abilities is wrong, right?
Because they're sentient. Yes.
Because but you're doing a circular argument here.
How?
Because just by you have to justify why just by virtue of being sentient they require moral consideration. Because we both agree that as long as pain is involved, right, then it's morally objectionable. Now you have to justify why sentience in itself, right, like just the ability to feel pain gives it some moral consideration.
So yeah, that's why we left off here.
When we're trying to remove.
Yeah, that's why we left off. Intrinsic value. We're speaking about intrinsic value. That's why we left off, right? Intrinsic value. Basically, what I'm saying is that just like how I desire to live free, have the pursuit of happiness, and do not want to suffer in this world, I see a fellow human being who looks like me, who thinks like me, who feels like me, who also wants to avoid all of those negative stimuli. Similarly now, therefore, I say, just like how I have intrinsic value, you have intrinsic value. I am saying that we should build our society based on this intrinsic value. That it is wrong to harm another individual human being, not because they are of value to me. You said the utilitarian example, right? Not because of that. I don't think you should be not harmed because you are of value to me, or harming you might cause bad things to society, leaving aside all of that. You personally have the desire to be alive and not be harmed. That should be respected. That is the point from which I am starting my case. Do you understand where I'm starting my case? That may not be what society is saying right now, but that's the point from where I build my case. Do you understand that point? Okay. So in that regard, I now see a fellow human being. I understand, okay, fellow human beings also have the same thing. We shouldn't harm them. Now I'm noticing the same quality in other creatures who happen to not be human. They have some of those qualities. Therefore, I'm saying we respect those qualities in them as well, intrinsically. Does that kind of answer your question?
No, I think that's where we probably differ, right? I think that humans, like, they deserve the highest moral consideration. And I believe animals require moral consideration, but lesser than humans.
But do you disagree with my usage of the word intrinsic here? Like the fact I'm not saying this is what society is right now. I'm saying this is the society I want. And in my framework, do you understand why what I'm saying makes sense in my framework?
But I still, I'm not able to understand how, when it comes to survival, you're able to, morally, justify. Two beings want to survive, right? And you are saying that it's okay to put your survival ahead of another similarly intrinsically valuable.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yes, you're right. Yeah, because in that moment of survival, I am going to fight for my own survival. How can I give up my life? Why should I give up my life?
So your life is more valuable to you?
To me, yeah, duh.
Okay. Do you think human beings' lives are more valuable than animals' lives?
What I personally feel. People won't like hearing this, but no, I don't think they're more valuable now. Okay. I think human life is honestly overrated. Yeah.
I think there was, in one of your classroom debates, there was a point where you said that if it were between a meat-eating human being and a chicken, you would save the chicken over a meat-eating human being. Do you stand by that?
I do stand by that, yes.
Okay. So your position is you do not draw a distinction between the value of a human being and the value of an animal.
In terms of sentience, you mean?
No, in terms of, like, if you had
moral consideration.
Yeah, moral consideration. If you had
both are the same. Yeah, both are the same. Yes.
But so your survival thing doesn't overlap. Like, I'm just trying to understand, because, like, from my understanding, how I feel like we humans are, like, our survival instinct, it kind of overlaps to our species, right? Like, I care about myself. By connection, I care about my wife, and I care about my family, and then I also care about my neighbors and my fellow human beings. But you do not hold that view.
What the hell? No, I am very much a normal member of the society.
But what I understood from what you said is that you think that your life is more valuable from a survival standpoint.
Yeah, in a survival scenario, it's also more valuable than my neighbor's life. Yeah.
Yeah, but in a survival standpoint, between your neighbor's life and the life of an animal, you think.
Whoa, hold up. We are now changing the things anyway. I want you to now give me a proper definition here of what you mean by survival scenario. I want you to drop two people
If you could save one over the other.
Okay, let me finish it. My proper scenario, tell me, like, is it a burning building, or is it like a flood is happening? Something is going on.
Burning building.
Okay, burning building scenario, and we are having in one side, do we have to say my neighbor? What if they watch it, man? This will be unnecessary problematic.
Okay, sure.
As a human being, okay, a human being is here who happens to be a non-vegan, it's your case, right? And then there happens to be a chicken. Whom would I value here? I would value the chicken's life, yes.
I think that most normal human beings, we tend to value human life.
Yeah, but your point doesn't really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you pick the human or chicken there. My point is why.
No, it does matter. Because I feel like your entire argument stems from valuing human life equally with animal life, except when it comes to your own life.
No. I think what we're doing right now is we are complicating something that need not be complicated. Let me try to put this in the most simplest of terms here, okay? If I am not in a survival situation, and if I am not being attacked by another individual, be it a human or animal, I don't want to mess with anybody. I don't want to harm anybody. Okay? And if I have the option to choose between, let's say in this regard, food, if you want to talk about food, which involves exploitation of animals, then clearly I can choose food that does not involve exploitation of animals. I will choose the food that does not involve exploitation of animals, and I want to build a society where the system itself is created that way. Which part of this do you have like a problem? I don't understand. This is a very simple thing, just like how I told you.
I think like you're sidetracking a bit. I think based on that hypothetical, like I think that it's very counterintuitive.
No, but in this hypothetical,
I think most humans would choose even if they were vegans. I'm assuming that they choose a human over an animal life.
That's fine, Johan. That's totally fine. My job here is not to try to convince people in a life or a scenario to to
Yeah, but
value the
that
chicken.
gives me an understanding of your moral standing.
Yeah, but you don't have to. Here's the cool part: you don't have to agree with me personally on everything in order to be a vegan. I am just happening to give, along with the veganism, my own thoughts as well.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
And I'm talking to you. I'm.
Yeah, I know, but I am trying to convey a message to you, and the message here is about veganism. So it's okay if you disagree with me on many things. That's totally fine, because guess what? Veganism does not require you to value in that scenario the animal life more than human life. That's not what veganism is about at all.
Yeah.
I, as an individual, in that scenario, gave my answer. Veganism has nothing to do with that scenario. You understand?
But I think it definitely does, right? Because
How?
if a person valued the animal life over the human life, then that shows that they don't see both lives as equally valuable, or rather that one life is worth saving more than the other.
That's why I asked for the example. You said burning building.
Building.
If you tell me right now, Arvind, there's a non-vegan and there's an animal, and who deserves to get exploited? Neither of them. Neither of them. No one does.
We're talking about obviously a hypothetical to understand what moral principles are.
No, but that's a big difference here. In the first scenario, the burning building, it happens to be a scenario, an accident, a burning building, where I apparently can choose to save someone. Okay, that's the scenario there. The second scenario of the society is, I want to create a society in which neither that human nor that chicken happen to be exploited. That is the society I want to create. Just because in the hypothetical there I chose a chicken has nothing to do with what I'm trying to establish in society. Do you see this difference here? That hypothetical doesn't add any value here, Johan. What value does it add? It's just my opinion. Screw my opinion. Who cares though? You don't have to agree with me.
It does, I feel, contribute to the conversation, because when we're talking about our moral values and moral principles, right? If I valued a human life over an animal life, then I wouldn't, argue for animals probably not being used for food, animals being used for food or other human purposes, right? I would not argue that way. I feel like they're very correlated. Like where you stand on which whether human life is more valuable than animal life.
Let me ask you this, Johan.
Definitely plays a role.
Okay, wait. There is a random person A, a loud one in a burning building. Whom do you save?
I don't have a preference.
Really, a random person with a loved one.
Oh, sorry, a loved one. I heard it as loved one. Sorry, my bad. A loved one, obviously.
A loved one, obviously, right. Yeah. Now, does that now mean that you are giving a message that in normal society, you would want to kill the normal person?
No, but it definitely...
No. Similarly, I am not saying that we should start throwing non-vegans and burning, but in your hypothetical, that happens to be my answer.
No, but I was just trying to understand your moral standpoint. So that's all it is. If you want, we can pivot to...
But here's my point. Yeah, here's the thing. Feel free to disagree on my moral standpoint. Yes, but like you said, there are many vegans also who will probably hear that and disagree. And you know what? Fine by me. I don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to what I'm trying to talk here about what we should do in society, in a situation where we clearly don't have to exploit them, but we're doing it just for vanity in the name of taste and culture and pleasure and habit, that is wrong, and I'm trying to solve that. And we don't have to necessarily go this much into detail about scenarios where what will you do if you're in a survival scenario, or what would you do if someone's trying to attack you. Like, do you not get the distinction at all?
No, I think that they're related. I feel like everything has a moral underpinning, right? Like I gave you the example. Like for me, since I don't value animal life equivalent to human life, it doesn't weigh on me if I consume an animal for food.
So we'll get to that. But my point is that, so just keep a pin on that. I want to get right to that right now. But I just wonder if I can just end this line of dialogue right now. Your examples that you've been giving me here, if extrapolated in the human context, would sound honestly like nonsense. It's again like me saying, the previous example I gave you, if someone is saying, hey, we should not kill each other in society. Oh, yeah, really? But do you know you have army people standing in the border there killing so many people every day so you can live here, so you're okay with that killing? But this killing is wrong? Well, killing is killing. Human is human. Bro, there are different circumstances, different scenarios. They're not exactly the same thing. What I am saying is within society, however, we can create changes. No one, if we were discussing human rights right now, would say, well, do you know that you drive on the road? And not to mention sometimes by accidents occur and people die. Well, because people die over there, why do you still continue to drive on roads? And if you want to drive on roads, you have no right to say that other people should not kill humans. Do you understand what's happening? Like, you are taking different scenarios and then applying that logic here in a scenario where it's completely different. We have a choice here to not harm the animal.
I think all I wanted to hear from you in person is your stance of, whether you consider human and animal life the same. I know you feel like the implications don't change either ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they do. But I just wanted to hear this from you. We can move on to
Fair enough.
move on to the next thing.
Okay, fine. Do you want me? Okay, should I go across the points that you mentioned, or should we?
Sure.
I should pin one point. What was that right now about eating meat? Right now we're talking, right? Like you told
Because
that.
I don't value animal life as much as I do human.
Right, okay, what if, Johan, I told you that right now you may not value animal life as much as human life? Okay, fair enough. Do you value animal existence and their ability, right to not feel pain and suffer over your taste buds? Do you feel which is more important, Johan's taste buds or the animal's right to be free? Which is, according to you, should be more important here?
I believe that my taste buds.
Or
Not my. I think that's a very loaded question. I think it's not just the taste buds. There's an aspect of nutrition as well.
we'll get to that, but if suppose it were to be only taste buds, do you think that?
I'd have to think about that, but my split reaction would be I think it would be okay, provided all the other things were in place. Like I said, that the animal doesn't suffer. Just killing of an animal for food, I think, is morally justified.
Okay, even for taste, even for in the name of food for taste. Okay, fine. Then you want me to continue on these points, even though you told you kind of just wanted to hear one like particular idea from me, or should we not go on these points? Like you spoke about anthropomorphizing animals, showing empathy towards fictional characters. Let's note these stuff down. Should we go on these or?
Yeah, sure. If you want to. Otherwise, I would like to discuss like you said about you spoke about survival, right? I'd like to explore that further. Right? I think survival is the only scenario where you feel it's justified to kill other sentient beings,
be it human or animal.
Be it human or animal, and more than one number, right? Like it's you don't think that your life versus sentient animal's life, you don't see it as 1:1. Like you're willing to kill like hundreds of animals in a survival.
1 second, yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Just can you give me a minute? I'll just drink some.
No worries.
We've completed an hour, right?
Yeah, an hour is done.
Yeah, I think we can resume.
Yeah. All good? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the arguments that I gave about the empathy, right? Empathy towards animals, empathy towards non-human, non-life. I think that was all just to show that how empathy is not reliable when it comes to considering animals. So I think like a more meaningful direction to go, I think, would be about survival, because you said like you value your survival and you're okay to kill hundreds of rats in a place that you have designated as your own, which makes no sense to the animal. But
right, also
from
doesn't make sense in the human rights context. But yeah, I have to re-emphasize that it also doesn't make sense in the human rights context. But yeah.
So what line would you draw when it comes to survival? Like, would you do you think like your life, like let's just take the human context, do you think that your life is more important than another human being's, like any human being?
In an ideal society, no. In the ideal setting where we're not at war, we're not fighting for resources, no.
If you're fighting for resources,
it's free for all. What do we do?
Okay, I'd like to understand.
I mean, it depends really. Like, for example, if we are like a group right now forming a resistance against another group of people, then we're kind of banded together. But if right now, say, there's no unity among us and there are bombs dropping everywhere, there's a limited amount of food, I'm like rushing for it, right? Like,
do you think that valuing your survival over the survival of other, according to you, intrinsically valuable sentient creatures is morally justified?
Depends on the scenario, exactly. A survival
with a survival scenario, like with the rats in you. You think
survival scenario? Yes. In a survival scenario, yes.
Okay.
What about you? What do you think about that regarding other? Forget animals right now. Regarding other humans in a survival scenario.
No, I wouldn't think so. Like, I'll give you an example. Okay, for instance, if the world was ending, or war broke out, and we were all like stuck in this room, right? I wouldn't think, and like all we have is the water and the resources that are within this room. I wouldn't think that it's okay for me to eat another person or attack them like say if, at some point we're going to be starving, right? And we probably starve to death, the natural course of events. I wouldn't think that it's okay to attack another human being, like even if I could, and subdue them and consume them for food.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't think the same thing about an animal.
No, but what?
That's where I draw a
my
distinction.
point is, let's say, for example, we do have some food here, okay, and you happen to have a gun, and I'm the one hogging all the food because I want to live. What would you do? You haven't eaten in a few days.
So I'll ask you the same thing. Like if in the same scenario we are stuck over here, like do you think?
Why don't you answer the question? You have a gun. What will you do? Like
I wouldn't kill people for food.
You wouldn't kill me, but wouldn't you want to take the food from me? And you also want to eat right now?
No, I would want to equally distribute it. I would not
what if
put
equal
my preference
equal
for
distribution does not doesn't work here because only one has to live. One is going to live and one has to die. What do you do?
If it only has to be like give me the exact scenario.
Right.
Okay.
Me and you are stuck here, okay, under rubble, and we are not getting out for the next 2 months. There is some food only if one person eats it, they can eat and survive and they can come out. What do you do?
I think I would ask you if like what your position on it is, and if you wanted to, if you're like, it's for me, like I just want to eat this food and survive, I don't care about you, then I'd probably just allow you to go with it. I wouldn't, like, the only way, like if there's limited resources and you want it and I want it, the only way that I can get it is by fighting you.
Yeah,
and
so
I rather would not.
Yeah, if I can be very honest with you on this, okay, that's complete nonsense. Has there ever been a situation in your life where you have ever, like, probably the worst, most pain or suffering you've ever felt? Has there been something like that where you felt like, oh my God, why am I alive? Have you ever been such a scenario in your life?
Can we stick with the previous hypothetical
that
I gave? I think that will explain things
better.
No,
that's a problem here. The problem is because when we get into this philosophy kind of stuff, like what would you do here? The answer you give right now seems very polished and nice on paper. That's not how this world works at all.
Sure. I just gave like a top of my mind type of answer.
No, you are giving a very polished, gentleman answer. I am giving a raw, real answer.
Definitely. Like I probably in such a situation I wouldn't. I'm just like giving like very rapid fire type of answers to you. But that's why I want to focus on the previous scenario. Like, let's just say we were all stuck here. Like, would you subdue a human being to consume them for food?
Would I subdue a human being to consume them for food?
If that was your only source of food?
I guess, although it sounds horrifying on camera, the answer is yes. Humans engage in cannibalism. Dude, here's the thing though. You are asking plenty of questions like this where I have to give an answer in a surreal scenario, and the difference is that I am being very honest. Even though what I say sounds distasteful, I am being honest because you can read about places where like people got stranded on an island and there's literally nothing to do. The human mind goes crazy when it doesn't get food and water for so many days. It'll do anything to survive. But my point is, let's create a society where it never comes to that, and let's also remove animals from the system. I don't understand why we are even engaging in these kind of hypotheticals when they don't. It's like, do you even understand my mission and my aim, what I'm trying to do with veganism? Like, I am saying clearly, you don't have to stab this animal to death for food. There is something else you can eat here instead. And you are saying, okay, but what about if you were here? Like, I believe these hypotheticals, this much philosophy doesn't help us or take us anywhere. Like, this is like way too much, and what does it even do? Like, we are deviating from the path completely. I want to talk about how we can build a better society. Do you understand my mission as a vegan activist?
I do understand. I think the reason why I asked is because I feel like you the only scenario where you equate your life more than even not just another sentient life, but multiple sentient lives is when in the scenario of survival. So I wanted to understand that better because I feel like that affects your perspective when it comes to killing animals and the value that you give to sentient beings as a whole.
So you were testing my values.
I just wanted to understand like where you stand.
Okay. Now, if we could at the moment just put like a small full stop for this at the moment, I want to delve into this topic if we can, Johan. Do you understand that right now in society, if someone has 100 to 120 rupees in their pocket, they could construct a well-planned plant-based diet that would get them all the nutrients they need, okay, to be optimally healthy. When that is the case, do you feel that human must do that, yes or no?
No.
So so even though they have the option and the privilege to choose to get their nutrients and energy only from a synthetic or a plant-based source, they can still choose to consume and exploit animals.
Yeah. While I don't think that's the case, if that was the case, if your hypothetical
Even if,
is factual, then yeah,
it is
I just
by
want
the way,
to
it is
give
by the
that
way, yeah,
caveat. I have a different opinion, but yeah, with that caveat, yeah, if I would still say yes.
So then I want to ask you, can you explain your stance? Like, why do you feel that exploiting animals, even when we don't have to, is justifiable?
So that's where I think we differ, right? Like I believe that humans, they garner a particular moral value that's very unique to humans, and we cannot give that, we do not give the same moral consideration to others. I think most people think like this, right? And so therefore, like I do not, I think for me, as long as the pain aspect is taken out of the picture, I don't see like why it's wrong, like ethically or morally wrong to kill an animal for food.
So you look at it within the confines of your species, and you are saying that you value human life on a particular threshold and the animal life on another.
Yeah.
But you realize that within our own species, humanity, there could be plenty of people who say that I value only the life of such and such religious people on such a threshold. I only value people of a particular race on such a threshold, or only my gender or my group of people. That also exists within our society, right? Racism, sexism, misogyny, all this stuff. Do you have any particular kind of viewpoint on those issues?
Yes, I do. I think discrimination from a human context, right? Like everybody has their perspective on what their in group is and what their out group is. I believe that as humans, like we coexist the best when we are not fighting with one another and when we're not discriminating amongst one another. It makes sense. It makes social sense. Like I thought you were trying to build a world where no
I would like to, Johan.
I'm also talking about the ideal scenario.
But now I'm talking about people. For example, they say what the British did to us 300 years ago, or what they did to Africans hundreds of years ago. They were benefiting greatly. To say that we have to treat fellow human beings as equals, or we have to, if you want a coffee, you can have no issues. Yeah. If we have to treat fellow human beings as equals, or we have to treat fellow human beings with respect, because by doing that we benefit. Is not true at all. Men benefit greatly by mistreating women. A huge race of people who are technologically advanced will benefit greatly by exploiting humans who are not so advanced. So why does equality even matter? It doesn't necessarily benefit
Correct,
us.
but that comes under the confines of human morality, right? Like within the human context, the social context that we have, it is wrong. Right?
Who is this we here right now?
It's a collective, the collective human species, right? Not everybody agrees with that.
Most don't.
Most don't agree with what that.
Most feel that my religion is superior. Most feel that my race
but
is superior.
But they don't think. Yeah, but we all respect each other's faith and religion. Like we don't think that my religion is superior to yours, so therefore, like your life doesn't matter.
We do now, thanks to the laws. Right now we do, but it wasn't always this way. It used to be chaos.
Yeah, so that's human morality, and that's where I feel like you keep blurring the line between human morality and our moral obligations towards animals.
What you're doing is you are telling the racist or the misogynist or the whoever he is to extend his circle of compassion and empathy towards all humans, right? Even though he doesn't have to, he doesn't need to, he may not necessarily benefit from it, but you want him to do that, right?
Yeah.
But when I tell you to also extend your circle, because you are saying, forget the fact of difference in skin color or religion or race, look at what's common between all of us. Right, you're saying forget the differences, look at what's similar.
See, so I think I presented an argument to you from a very like secular and benefit based arguments I laid out to you initially in my opening statement. I think I had addressed, why from even a very like selfish perspective, we would still, it's in our best interest to value human life. And that's not the case with
by value
animals.
Human life, do you mean just letting them live, or do you mean it goes
their well-being, right? Like their well-being.
The well-being. Yeah, that's not what's happening. That's not how this.
But that is what is happening here, right? Like the only reason why we coexist well is because our well-being is intertwined, right? When my neighbors are doing well, or when my state is doing well, when my country is doing well, then I am also indirectly benefiting from that. And also, it is in my best interest to treat. These are the things which I discussed earlier.
Yeah, but then let's take an example though. North Korea, Kim Jong-un is doing just fine. He is doing great, in fact.
he's doing fine, but he's doing fine because he's in a place of power, and not everybody is in his position, right? There was something that he did to gain that position where his well-being
but if
is more important than
but if
the
your
well-being of
statement
others.
goes that we have to apparently be all treating each other well and good in order for someone to be doing well in society, that's not true.
That's generally the case, right? We have order on the,
But it's
like for
not-
instance,
it doesn't have to be.
okay, like I'll call this like the traffic rule morality, right? When we're going on the road, right, we follow traffic rules, and not everybody is like ethical or honest or cares about others. But the very fact that if I do something, if I violate a traffic rule, I don't follow it just because it's some rule ordained by some god or some deity, right? I follow it because if I don't follow it, then I will be in danger, right? So I will honk before a turn, not because I care so much about the person who's coming, but I'll have to do it by default because I care about my own safety.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there are plenty of scenarios of human beings and groups of human beings who can do great without respecting necessarily the rights of other human beings. That's what I'm saying. Do you get that point or not? Slavery did exist. It took so long to get women the right to vote. There are plenty of things that we call as civil liberties right now, which did not. Apartheid was there when I was born. It still existed in South Africa. So do you agree or not agree that these are all recent developments? What you're talking about right now, you're saying as if helping other human, not helping, sorry, being cordial or respectful of the life and rights of other human beings somehow benefits us. That need not always be the case. That never was the case. That just happens to be right now. We happen to be doing in that regard much better than we did before. Do you not see that in humanity there has been an evolution in our society in terms of ethics and morals and values?
See, even amongst groups that are racist, or they have like their own in-group versus out-group, like they survive best because the people in their group survive best, right? Like my understanding obviously is that when we all do well, then each of us individually will do well. For them, at least in that bubble of their group.
Would you at least agree now? That's not a true statement, right? It seems.
No, it has to be. No, even in places where they discriminate. Like let's say, like there's a let's say like Americans were discriminating against the black, right? Still, a group of Americans benefited from it. Like they had to look out for each other's back. Like at some level, you would have to partake or contribute to the well-being of the people around you.
I'm not denying that. I am saying,
and that doesn't hold good. I'm saying that you can broaden that globally, right? Or it's true in the human species, whether you have a small group or whether you consider your entire nation to be a group. The people around you, them doing well, it determines your own well-being. But that's not the case with animals.
Yeah, this is the argument I won't agree at all.
But this is how we derive human morality. Like then you tell me, like how do we come up with human morality?
Yeah, I'm not talking about human morality right now. I'm talking about the fact that you're saying that apparently human beings choosing to be respectful and decent to other human beings benefits us as a whole. Although, in a nutshell, that's true, that need not always be the case. An individual or a group of people can very much benefit while treating others like garbage. In fact, that's what's happened throughout most of human history, where one just treats others as second or substandard citizens, second class, you treat them badly, discrimination. And we have wiped out these discrimination. We try to do so by telling the oppressor, hey, look, there may be certain distinguishing factors between me and you that you see. But can we keep those apart and look at the similarities? And when it comes to similarities, what I'm saying is that whether the oppressor, whatever how he thinks or not, he wants to live, he doesn't want to suffer, he doesn't want to die. Same goes for the oppressed. Therefore, it makes sense to extend moral consideration because we see the same traits between each other. I am saying the same traits exist in animals as well. You are someone who is very comfortable in saying we have to extend moral consideration to all human beings. But the moment you hit the species barrier, you're like, oh no, absolutely not. Even though they can feel pain just like you, they desire to live just like you. And you can choose, the most important point is you can choose not to. You told even if someone had the option to be a healthy vegan, they can still choose to eat meat, which is insane. Why would you do that when you clearly have the option to avoid it?
Yeah, we'll come to that. But just to finish up this part about discrimination and part about like one group ill-treating another group, I don't think it's related to a core argument, but I just want to end it up. So basically, the reason why all these things change is because when the people who are quote-unquote oppressed, when they collectively gang up, right? At some point, they're able to overpower the people who are oppressing, right? And that's the only reason. Like at some level, we understand that it is in our best interest to care about like these oppressors. I'm sure there are many oppressive people, oppressive rulers, and they like if they think it through, like from history, what we do know is it's not sustainable to prioritize one human race or human group over another, because it always backfires. It is within our best interest to value all human life.
I disagree, but go on. I want
because that is why these things have changed, right? It didn't change because somebody had a change of heart. Like it just changed organically because
whoa, that is not how things happen, bro. If you read history and what Nelson Mandela did, what Martin Luther King did, this is not accidents.
What I mean by organically is that there was no like divine intervention or anything. It was just people realized that it is within their best interest to not show discrimination to one another. If they did show, then they once the oppressed have become strong enough, they would overpower the oppressors. And so it's just a failing strategy.
So is the oppressor wrong? Would you categorically say that the oppressor or a dictator is wrong?
I would think it's wrong according to my moral values.
Yeah. You would say it's wrong.
Yeah.
Would you agree with the statement if I said that you are an oppressor to animals? Would that be wrong?
No, but that's where I would differ. Like my moral obligation to my fellow human beings.
Not moral. See, if a dictator is an oppressor to humans, are you not as a non-vegan? Are you not an oppressor to animals?
It depends. What do you mean by oppressor?
You pay people to confine them, to violate their bodies, to forcefully make them pregnant against their will.
Okay, I said I'm against all of that, right?
But you pay people to. You're not a vegan. You consume meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. You wear leather, wool, and silk, right?
Yes.
Which means you are actively paying. You do, bro. What did you have for breakfast today? What animal product did you eat? Just asking. You ate
not today, but I do eat every day.
Okay, so
that's the answer you're expecting.
So that means you are actively paying people to oppress animals on your behalf, right? So would it be wrong if I said you are an oppressor to animals?
Yeah, so I do think that.
Yes or no?
So see, I think we agree on the suffering part, right?
But are you an oppressor? Is my question. I'm thinking that you are very clear in condemning people who have done wrong to humans in the past. Okay, you are clear on that.
Because I believe in human specific morality.
And I'm asking, would you not agree in that context if these organisms yearn to be free, not be caged, not to be sliced up, and you can choose not to do that to them, but still you choose to do it to them anyways? Are you not being an oppressor to them?
But that's not my position, right?
So you are not, in your worldview, then humans are not oppressors to animals. Animals are not victims.
No, but that is not my position. Like I told you, I was against animal suffering.
How can you be against and then pay for it and consume it?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So basically, when I do consume, like the ideal way that I would want to consume animals would be in the way that I mentioned to begin with, right? Like when animals are not enduring much pain and suffering. But that is not the case right now. And like I don't have a choice. Like for instance,
you don't have a choice.
Like for instance,
you have a choice.
No, for instance, like what would you say if like some of the vegan products that you are consuming, right? There's probably animal exploitation involved in that. Does that stop you from eating those products?
No, it does not stop you from eating those products.
Yeah, and I heard a video where you said that because you cannot get into the fine details of how it's been produced, that's just an impossible task. And I feel like the same thing, although this is definitely slightly different, I feel the same thing. Like I cannot get into the grassroots of how this is being done, and I require it, and therefore I'm doing it. I obviously would want to fight against this, similar to you, although it's not as much as a moral priority for me. But I don't think not consuming it fights against this type of cruelty.
You're taking a stance, Johan. You're saying that you stand against animal oppression, animal exploitation, animal slavery, therefore you're vegan. You're taking a stance here. And yes, by you change does happen because one person changing doesn't make change happen. But when we change in large numbers, why do you think I'm even doing this whole podcast thing? What's the whole point? To give people the platform to come and speak here. I also give rebuttals. More people can watch it now, thousands online. They can then choose to make up their minds as to what they want to do, right? If we get more and more people to become vegan, the more we are in number, the more positive change does happen. Of course, if you say like you alone can't make a difference, yeah, but it won't be you alone. Yeah. You will be part of the change. And my other point I want to say is that you can't, buddy, make a statement saying that you're against something, but then you directly fund it. You can't say you're against something you fund and then you consume the products being made there. That doesn't make any sense. And there were a few more points you said that I couldn't note them down because you're going quite fast on them.
Sorry.
No issues. Like, my point is this, like, I should have noted them down. I wish I could roll back the tape and see what you said because I really wanted to talk. Do you remember what you said? A few points at least, like a few key things you said right now.
I don't know exactly what you're
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like, it's all right. I should have made a note. My mistake.
I think we can probably deal with the nutrition aspect because I think that's what gives your argument
more weight.
Yeah, more
if
weight.
I'm saying you don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. Go on the nutrition.
Yeah, argument. I think my argument for the nutrition aspect is you agree that human beings have been consuming meat. You obviously agree that human beings are omnivores and we've been consuming meat for millions of years.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And as I said earlier, like veganism is a very relatively new,
very new,
new movement, right? And there are very few like studies that corroborate that a vegan diet is sufficient for all age groups and for all genders.
If I may just comment on that. When you say few, look, first I have to be very honest here. Okay, I am not a nutritionist. I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor. So please take everything I say right now with a grain of salt and note that I am not an expert to speak on this. However, lucky for me, I do have friends who happen to be scientists and it's through them I get data and information that I spread. When you say you don't have many studies, I don't know how to exactly talk. What do you mean by many? But what I can say is we have sufficient enough data to make certain statements very, very confidently. Okay, we have enough data to make certain statements confidently. And these are basically just the names of a few studies. If you want, you can just have a look. It's not like we're going to go in detail in them. But the confident statements I can make is that a well-planned plant-based diet with adequate supplementation, mainly of vitamin B12 and vitamin D, can give you as optimal a health as you have right now as on an omnivorous diet. That is the claim we can make. We have like solid data and evidence on this, and it's not even that much more expensive than what someone is eating right now. Again, if you have 100 to 120 rupees, again, I don't know about you, but would you consider yourself to be like privileged class? Like, let's say you want to watch cricket today evening.
Yes,
you'll be like, you know what? I'll put 250 rupees Swiggy order just for snacks and I'll watch. Like, if you're that class, like, buddy, we have more than enough money to be healthy on a plant-based diet. That's my case I want to put.
Yeah, but I think my position is that it's been less than 100 years, right? And these research data is very recent. And we haven't had an entire life cycle of a human to really test out these results. And we've been eating meat for millions of years, and I feel like it would be intellectually dishonest, or I feel like I don't have the same amount of confidence as you do to substantiate that this diet that we've been consuming for years, for millions of years, is somehow going to be substituted within like a single generation with an alternate diet, and there's not going to be any repercussions for that. And as far as the studies go, like there are many studies that cited certain foods were healthy, quote unquote healthy. Like for instance, there were studies I think in the 1940s which said that trans fats were good for us, and similarly with energy drinks, similarly with artificial sweeteners and all these things. So we came to know, I mean, it was the scientific consensus at some point, and then subsequently we came to know that those things are actually not good for us, right? And also, like, even I'm not a nutritionist, but there are studies that show that plants can be poisonous to us.
Yeah, don't eat the poisonous ones.
No, even the ones that we eat on a day-to-day basis, obviously I'm not a nutritionist. I don't want to get
Can I
too
maybe
deeply into that.
hint at what you're talking about? You're talking about plants containing phytic acid, oxalates. They're called as anti-nutrients. Are you talking about that?
Probably, like I haven't like delved deep into the
Okay.
research, but I think the point that I'm trying to make, it doesn't need to go too deep into that. I just feel like we don't have enough information at the moment to confidently say that we can exclude meat from human diet.
Okay. So what you're talking about right now, you might have heard this word. It's called epistemology. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Epistemology basically refers to, if I'm not wrong, we can Google and check this if you want, you can. I think it refers to how we structure these kind of studies to find out in the long term as to what happens and what rules we use. Some studies give us certain kind of results. Some studies give us long-term outcome data. Some studies show like an intervention, like if we take a meat eater who's eating heavily red meat and we switch up that to the plant-based diet, what will happen to the lipid levels? Like each study concludes different things. But with what we currently have, the data we have at the hand and the data that we use to determine, say, even the validity of certain drugs or the validity of certain anything else that we use in human interventions, we have on par with that level data. This is the best data right now humans can even produce. Like at the moment, we don't have technology to produce beyond this. And we have rock solid evidence from that level that do state that a well-planned plant-based diet supplemented, I repeat it well, supplemented with vitamin D and vitamin B12 can be optimal for humans. And that is what I'm basically showing you in this list there. I mean, when you're mentioning again, if I can just talk about this anti-nutrient situation, you don't want to go too much in depth, but I still feel that since you are mentioning this, it'll be good if I could also give a comment to the audience watching can learn. Yes, anti-nutrients very much exist in certain plant foods, such as you can say in these dals, they exist, which is why if you soak the dal overnight and then you wash them again, you throw away the water, a lot of the phytic acid and the anti-nutrients are taken out of it. Next, you cook them. That also breaks down the cell walls and therefore removes them. Therefore, they don't. Do they exist? Yes. Can we remove them? Yes. Do they have an impact on our health negatively? No. That's the bottom line. It's like someone saying, how do I give a proper analogy here? It's like saying that something could potentially harm you, but yeah, but the way in which you've been consuming them all this time is ensuring that those harmful parts don't happen either way. So it's kind of a moot point. You get my point, right?
Yeah, but I think you're addressing certain studies, right? I think you also give some counter studies about how meat is bad for health. Right?
Actually, no. Let me just be clarifying this. Okay. Earlier, initially when I became vegan, I will agree, I peddled a lot of pseudoscience. Okay, I will completely come clean on that. I used to go and say stuff like, oh, if you're not vegan, you're going to get diseases and only vegans are healthy. Why? Because I was so overtly emotional after seeing those videos of what's happening to animals, and I wanted to, by hook or crook, get people to change. I had friends who were scientists who called me up and told me, Arvind, listen, man, we love you, bro, all the stuff that you do, but you have to stop speaking bullshit. Okay, this is complete crap. So if I had ever said that in my previous videos, I would like to politely take it back. That is not what I'm saying. You can eat meat, dairy, and eggs and be absolutely healthy. Fine. We can do the same as a plant-based person as well. My only argument is you can do the same. You can do the same. No argument here. Go on. Yeah.
So then we agree that there's no downside for consuming meat.
From a biological perspective?
From a health perspective.
I mean, if you plan your diet properly, you can be absolutely healthy. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I'm just trying to just phrase like our position clearly. So you think that there's no downside for consuming meat, and you have an alternate nutrition based on recent studies that is.
I hope the word recent is not used pejoratively here. Like recent means it's recent, but
no, recent. It's a study. It's a study done the
fair
same.
Enough. Okay.
Showing this, right?
Right.
What I believe is that before we make a big switch, I really like to believe like what you're saying is true. I think if taste was the only reason why I was meat eating, I would reconsider. Right? Obviously, with my other argument, with pain removed.
My brother in humanity, I would love to give you a break of nutrition. But go on. Yeah.
So just to make things clear, I think that the scientific studies are there. They're recent, and we don't have enough data to conclusively say that this is good or this is bad for humans. Like this is very recent scientific data. We don't have enough sample to justify that this is good. Like there has to be at least a generation or a few generations to conclusively say that one diet is better than the other.
I get what you mean, Johan, but you have to understand that kind of then fits in every example. Like we are right now running on hypotheticals here. Okay, what you're saying. Okay. One could also say
we're riding on probability.
Probability. But one could also make the probability that, okay, what if by consuming this one new particular form of product we're eating right now, that means that down the line, 3 generations later, something bad could happen. Like anybody can make a statement. You are saying that I don't have evidence to show that this stuff works in the long run, right?
Yes.
By long run, what do you mean by that? Like in generations upon generations?
No, so at least it should work for a lifetime. Like many things, like we will not know immediately the effects of it. Like it takes probably will affect you in your old age, right?
No, that's been done. In fact, if anything, okay, one thing I told you, I will want to make one argument. The first thing that's written there, the dark blue study there. We do have evidence showing that those who are eating a plant-based diet, which is primarily and majorly consisting of whole plant foods, for example, French fries happen to be vegan, they're not healthy. Alcohol happens to be vegan, not healthy. So I'm not talking about stuff like that. But only whole, like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, all this stuff, and B12 supplement. These people, on average, tend to have lower risk when compared to heart disease. Overall lower risk when it comes to stuff like colorectal cancers, and because they have high fiber consumption. Okay, they have lower lower BMI, body mass index, and therefore the chances of getting type 2 diabetes is reduced. I'm not saying they're immune. I'm saying this data already exists for us. It's actually
what I'm saying is that we don't have enough time to gather counter data, right? Since there are vegans, since there is some motivation to find out the benefits of this.
Whoa, these are not done by vegans. These studies are not done by vegans, by the way.
But it's done because vegans are there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be funded.
So plant-based, that's why I wanted to always say, instead I never usually say vegan diet, I say plant-based eating, because a big difference. Plant-based is a whole other dimension. Different people approach that for various reasons. There are people who come saying they want to be environmentally friendly. Some people come saying they want to be spiritual. Some people come saying that for their health benefits, they want to eat more plant-based food. There's a lot of different people dabbling with plant-based eating. For those people, this has been done. I happen to be eating plant-based for ethical reasons. Not everyone who eats plant-based is doing it only for ethical reasons. They're doing it for various other reasons. And again, here's the problem. I am not a scientist, like I told you. I don't know how to emphasize on the point that our evidence is as rock solid as it can possibly be right now. Like we have the evidence is so rock solid here.
But how can it be rock solid
it's
without
like
testing it?
The pin won't fall if I drop it. It's like that rock solid.
No, I think you're being intellectually dishonest.
Well, I leave it to the people who...
How can you say a study is rock solid if it hasn't even completed the entire cycle of a human being? If you're talking about the health of human beings, right? You're saying that these particular studies state that humans can survive on a plant-based diet. We cannot conclusively say that until we study like a long-term study, we find out what are the side effects.
We have found out the side effects. There are side effects. Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't have enough of a sample to conclusively say that this diet is a better diet.
We have observational data that has gone on following people for decades.
For decades, right?
Yes.
We happen to live at least for 7 to 8 decades.
Yeah, but then with that that's what I'm saying. You're putting forth the hypothesis. I'm saying, okay, listen, we have followed them for 10, 20 years. Like, what if something happens in the 21st year?
Like, no, but don't you think it's reasonable to at least check the viability of a nutrition for our survival over at least a single generation?
Right. So if you're asking for a single generation, I don't think the data exists. Okay, I want to just be clear on that. But what I'm saying is, think of it this way. If someone is observing a group of people for, say, a decade or two, okay, and they are taking regular blood samples, checking their biomarkers, whether healthier, everything, and everything seems to be absolutely fine, perfect, crystal clear, great. How are we to suppose now suddenly in the 21st year it'll all go wrong?
But that is how many diseases crop up, right? Like you don't see the effects of them initially, and then it's towards probably your older years. These things tend to manifest.
So that's something what we have noticed is that observing vegans for so long is that there is an issue. Vegans get B12 deficiency and vitamin D deficiency.
But you said you can supplement it.
So now we know that. Initially we didn't know that. So now after decades of research, now we know that we completely avoid that issue.
Yeah, so don't you think that more things will crop up? We are talking about a diet that's been followed for millions of years. And now we're switching to a brand new diet, or we're excluding a major component of our diet. Don't you think that this type of confidence is not warranted?
No, what I'm saying is that, again, first of all, to say that the diet we have been eating for millions of years is optimal, first of all, would be a wrong statement. The diet we've been eating for millions of years has allowed us to survive to the point, reach sexual maturity, have babies, and then they continue to do the same, and now we end up here. It is therefore the diet we used to have for all these years has helped us successfully reproduce till right now.
Sure, but
it doesn't necessarily show that it was the most optimal for humans. Do you agree with the statement? It helped us survive.
But there's more probability that is what we are adapted to. That is what our body is used to, and definitely there's some survival advantage to consuming that type of food.
Yeah, the fact that you cannot get B12 and vitamin D.
As of what we know right now, right? Which we didn't a few decades back.
But that's one thing. So have you heard of this word, Johan, called essential nutrients and non-essential nutrients? Like in our body, there are some nutrients that our body will fabricate by itself, and there are some that we need externally from food. If we don't get, we'll become deficient. Have you heard of these two categories? Essential nutrients?
Probably from your lectures, I guess.
Okay, you can check online if you want to chat GPT after this.
I'm sure there's something like that.
So essential means the body has to get from external source. Non-essential, for example, cholesterol is something my body can fabricate in the liver. I don't necessarily have to eat external cholesterol. And there is, for example, amino acid like taurine. It is something my body can manufacture. But there are certain
I'd like to hear all of that, and I have heard in your videos, but I think my argument still stands.
You say that, what if tomorrow, I'm saying we've already divided them into essential and non-essential. The ones that are essential, we can see the list that we can get from plants, from which sources. The ones that we can't get from them, boom, we supplement those.
But we came to know them in time, okay, and we're talking about millions of years of following one particular diet. Okay, and these studies have been done only for the past few decades, and as we go, we will notice the benefits and the ill effects of that diet.
But to even say that the one that we've been following for millions of years is an optimal one is in itself, like, you're not saying it's optimal. No, it just happens to work. It has worked so far.
It works, and we have adapted to that, right? Like if we've been following something for millions of years, our body is adapted to that. That means there is some survival advantage to do it, and our bodies are probably gaining in some way from that because we've been doing it for so many years. So there will be some evolutionary like benefit for having that. We are adapted to that. Like we cannot just within a matter of few decades thwart that diet that we've been following for millions of years.
So that's what I'm saying. That first of all, that claim itself, unless we are able to show it with evidence, what you're stating right now, it cannot.
But I think you are the one who owes the evidence. This is not satisfactory evidence, right?
But buddy, okay, if I can just have a look at it for a second, if I can just pass it over to me, if I can, for a second.
No, I'm sure you have some study that sounds.
I'm just trying to explain. I'm not
convincing.
Yeah,
but it still stands. Like you like, for instance, you said that it took a few decades to find out, like the things that we were missing
out. But what I know, they eventually got to know.
Some time. It took some time.
They understood. Yeah.
So don't you think that there's a probability that we may find other things that are lacking in this?
But that's what I'm saying. Imagine if we have now come to a point so scientifically advanced that we are able to literally, like they'll say, take your blood, pee in this cup. They'll take a stool sample or something, and then they'll check every single thing that's going on, and they're able to get an overall picture about what's happening in your body. Yeah. So if someone has been doing this right now for decades and they see it and everything is crystal clear and fine and working beautifully, why should we even assume that the next year, is when the problem starts? Like, everything is fine, all the biomarkers.
Because that's how diseases crop up. That's how we find the negative effects of any food or any lifestyle habit.
Yeah, this is the part of the podcast where we need a doctor. We need to see, neither you nor me. We're both not qualified on this, and I agree when I'm not qualified.
I think we can probably agree to disagree. I don't think that it's justified to switch diets just based on recent studies without having a longitudinal studies for a diet that we've been following for millions of years. And I think you think that it's okay. I just feel like from a probability standpoint, it's unlikely that there's no benefit to meat consumption that can be completely got through consuming plant food
and synthetic sources
and processed.
Yeah. So no, again, I completely disagree with you there.
Yeah, I think we can just disagree because it's not convincing to me, because if I see million years of a diet,
what would convince you? What would convince you exactly? Like,
I think if there were studies done over a longer period of time, that would be convincing. At least 2 generations.
2 generations. And
Yes.
you build, like, can you like just tell me what you feel apparently would happen, like a deficiency would pop up, or like what do you see?
We don't know, right? We can only guess. We can only imagine.
So yeah, so the current data doesn't, however, which we don't have to imagine or guess because it's there, doesn't seem to work for you. And here's one more thing I want to make. Have you heard of this group of people? Have you heard of an island in Japan called Okinawa?
No.
Okay. So just want to say a short thing.
Yeah.
That's where the longest group of humans who have ever lived on Earth, no, they live there, okay? They live up like 117, like that, years old. And when we observe their diet, we find that they get 90 to 95% of all their calories from plant-based food, only 5% from animal-based food. Okay, and obviously they work hard in the field and they have a good social life, they do all this kind of stuff. But when you look at the nutritional perspective, 95% already comes only from the plant-based source. And the 5% that comes from animals, we then take that, we find what nutrient is there in that animal-based food, we tear it apart, we see what are the essential nutrients we cannot get, and we clearly have an answer for that.
Yeah, so
Therefore-
far of what we found that is missing, right? There's nothing to say that we're not going to find more things, right? As we go along, we'll find that there are different things missing. And as we find, we'll probably find a solution for how to counter that, or we'll realize that just a plant-based diet alone is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should just agree.
Okay, we'll have to drop the argument on nutrition here.
Yeah.
But is there any other point that you want to bring up?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I want to again, bring up a hypothetical to you, if you don't mind. So, are we? I just want to clarify. Are we taking a break?
Would you like to take a small break?
Sure, we can.
Okay, cool. We can take a short break. Yeah. And we're back, guys. Yeah. So, where did we last leave off?
Yeah, I think we spoke about nutrition and then we've ended the conversation there. I think we agree to disagree on that. There's one argument that I want to put forth to you, and we can probably have a back and forth on that. So, do you think, I just want yes or no answers from you. Like, do you think that avoidable harm to sentient beings for personal benefit is immoral?
Avoidable harm to sentient beings for personal benefit is immoral.
Isn't that the entire vegan philosophy, that you think that if you can avoid, if you can get nutrition from plants, then it's unnecessary harm?
I know where you're going, but the answer is no. Answer is no. The reason being is because I have to give a clear distinction, because avoidable harm then falls under any category. Like, you get my point. Like, something can be necessary, something can be deemed as unnecessary, and therefore where do we now draw the line? You can't do that. So I would have to give the answer as no to that. That's why I told the framework that we are pushing forward is that we do not exploit animals. That is the only thing we can 100%, that framework we can properly establish in society. Nothing else can be done.
Okay, but what I mean by unnecessary is, like, for instance, you would argue that since plant-based diet is sufficient for human nutrition, therefore meat eating is immoral, right?
That can be one case, but regardless, because animals are sentient, exploiting them for any purpose is immoral. But
you're okay with, in situations where animals are killed while irrigating plants, you're okay with that? Like that is, according to you, unavoidable.
By okay with that at this moment,
it's unavoidable.
No, but let me finish. By okay with that at this moment in time, I cannot do anything for that. But no, in an ideal vegan world, we would want to reduce that as well as much as we can.
Sure. So that's where I'm distinguishing between avoidable harm and unavoidable harm. Avoidable harm being that if you have an alternate way of doing it without harming the animal, then it's okay.
You can say that. Doesn't necessarily fall into the parameters of veganism, but you can say that. Yes, you can say
also,
that.
Isn't the entire vegan philosophy that there is an alternate way, and therefore you doing it this way is morally wrong?
Not necessarily. I keep telling you, the framework with which we work is that we do not exploit animals. We don't
unnecessarily, because you think that killing an animal is exploiting an animal, right?
Not necessarily killing. It's not killing. The root that I want to fix here is the breeding part. That is like saying this. It's like saying the tap is open, there's water flowing in a bucket. I want to close the tap, not necessarily keep getting bigger buckets. My point is that if you want to fix the problem, we have to end breeding. So again, regarding killing of animals, which is why I am very particular on answering that one question, because I know the list of counter arguments that come with it. We cannot, as a vegan activist, say that, oh, I don't kill animals, or I want to create a world without killing animals. I want to create a society where laws say animals can be exploited. That's the only framework that can actually be implemented. No other framework can be having a logic. Like every other, nothing else has a framework. It's very arbitrary.
But that's why I framed it as necessary and unnecessary. Like if animals are being killed via plantation and that's our only source of food, then it follows that since for you, like it follows in your position, that's an unavoidable harm.
By animals being killed, again, you're talking about like us using insecticides and pesticides and that's
correct,
yeah. Yeah, but again, here, I want to draw a distinction here again. That is that this animal is now trying to consume the resource that if I don't consume, I will die. Do you agree?
Correct. So that's, I think we're agreeing. Like, so that basically comes under like unavoidable harm.
Yeah, similar to the rats example about me, the rat infestation. It falls into the same category. It's another organism that is trying to survive in this world, right?
Correct.
Happens to come across, unfortunately, me, and I also want to survive. And if they eat all of my food, they live and I die. Therefore, I fight back and I kill them. Yes.
Right. So you do agree with this this idea that if it's avoidable, then it should, like, it's immoral to.
No, I don't agree with that ideology again, because see, that leads us into completely different
what is
rabbit
avoidable
hole.
And what is unavoidable? Are you saying that's your concern?
For example, simple. Another person asked me in a podcast, like, Arvind, are vegans against bodybuilding? I'm like, why? Because in order to be a bodybuilder, you have to necessarily eat more food than what a normal person does. And you don't have to do that. You just want to do that for vanity, just to get muscles, right? So I told him, no, you're now comparing minimalism with veganism. Veganism means animal rights. We are granting animals the right to not be exploited as a commodity. And that is it. Nothing, everything else falls. If you're saying, should vegans, as a vegan, do I also feel, however, we can improve this area? Yeah, fair enough. But this doesn't fall under the purview of veganism. Do you understand that?
Can you give me a counter example for an avoidable harm to a sentient being that is morally okay for you?
An avoidable harm to a sentient being that is morally okay for me. The very fact that, I mean, I go out, I eat what I want that's vegan, I drink water from this bottle, I buy clothes.
But that is not harming any.
But no. Say, for example, to dye this shirt, there was ink that was used, that ink then leached from that and entered into the water streams and ended up poisoning some fish. Right?
Oh, you're okay with that?
Am I okay with that? The point is that I don't think I really. Yes, the right answer would be yes. I'm okay with that. It doesn't fall under the purview.
How is it? Okay, this is actually surprising. I didn't expect you to say that. How is it different from wearing silk garments?
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you. I'll repeat again if you want. Okay, let me do this right now. Let me make three distinctions here. And once again, I want to explain this in the human context and then extrapolate that and drop it onto the animal context for it to make sense. Let's take point number one. Person A is killing person B with the complete intention to kill person B. In our law system, we call that as premeditated murder or homicide, first degree murder, okay? Done with the intent to kill. Second scenario is person A is driving on the road. Person B happens to be drunk and just meandering about, okay? Person B is not paying attention. Person A is following all the rules, but something happens. Unfortunately, by accident, they hit and kill person B. Person B happens to die in that scenario as well. That is not same as a first degree murder or homicide because there was no intention to kill that person. This was an accident. Okay, that is scenario number two. Scenario number three is when you are caught inside a system where if you leave that system, you cannot survive, you will die. But even if you want to make change, you find the system to be messed up and you want to make changes, you still have to be a part of the system and try to create changes from within. So let me answer, for example, this. You pay taxes every year, right? You also buy any product in society, you have to pay taxes for every single thing you purchase. Else, there's no other way around this. Now, your taxpayer money is taken by the government and we do not know for what it's exactly used. Could be used to pay the salary of some authority power who misuses his power, mistreats people. We read about this all over the paper, right? Some policeman who beats up people. Your salary money could be, your tax money could be used to pay his salary. Not to mention, India also is a member of the United Nations. And every year we have to pay a particular amount of money to them because we are a member there. And that money could be used by the United Nations to take part in their peacekeeping missions. You know what's a peacekeeping mission? Where they send their soldiers or deploy them to an area to go and neutralize, aka kill the people they don't agree with. Which means that Johan's money is being taken and being paid, sent to the United Nations, but they are using that money to manufacture bullets that are being lodged into people's head. Now, let's look at all these three again. Number 1, first-degree murder, homicide. Number 2, accidents. Number 3, stuck in a system where you have to, however, you can't just be like, okay, you know what, from tomorrow, I no longer pay taxes. I'm just going to be here and just live. That's not how it works. Even if you think the system is messed up, you have to, however, still be a part of the system, because if you try to leave it, you'll be jailed or you will die.
Okay, just...
Now let's take this and drop it in the animal rights context. I am saying veganism, animal rights, we no longer do first-degree homicide. We no longer do what you call exploitation of animals. Second is animals that are being killed by accident. Third is I'm stuck in a system where, yes, my actions do lead to the harm and death of certain animals, and they are not, however, intentional or first degree. I can recognize them. I can try to find ways in which I can solve them while still being part of the system. I can't necessarily leave the system while trying to find a solution there. Whereas when it comes to meat, dairy, eggs and honey, wearing leather, wool and silk, I can choose to completely boycott those products and choose to purchase something else. I can step out of that system and do here. Do you understand this distinction here I laid out before you?
Yeah, but I just want to clarify one thing. So in this example that you told about ink contaminating water where fish are, so this is an probability. Is this like a probability thing, or you're sure that the ink from that's used to color your shirt?
No, it may. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Right, okay. So there's some deniability.
Yeah, there is deniability, but that is not what I'm trying to use here to justify my argument, right? I'm not using deniability to justify my argument. You heard my three different.
No, but I think we both agree that if you if you knew that it was going to kill fish, then you would stop wearing your shirt. If you knew that this particular brand that gives these shirts, they tend to put out the ink into water bodies where fish are, then you would avoid.
Then I think you didn't understand my example. Well, if you knew, Johan, that the Indian government is taking your taxpayer money and paying it to the United Nations so they can manufacture bullets and therefore shoot and kill people, would you therefore stop paying taxes? Are you a first-degree murderer now? Because you're in a system which you don't necessarily control, you can't escape from it.
Why is that different from someone saying that, see, I'm against, like, say my position, I'm against animal suffering, and I would rather have them being stunned and killed without experiencing much pain. But then, unfortunately, the system is such that this is how it's done usually. And I require meat for my nutrition. I don't have any other source. So then...
the reason why that doesn't work here is because in this particular scenario, you can choose to, like I told you, sometimes you're caught in a system where you have to be within the system to change it. In certain systems, if this were a communist country right now, completely, okay, where every day after work, we get rations from the government, there isn't nothing much we can do in terms of veganism. But in this current system of capitalism, you can choose what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy. You have a choice here.
You can also choose a brand that doesn't put their ink into water bodies where fish exist, right?
So how do we find that out?
No, that's why I'm asking you. Like, if you knew there was an alternative, then you wouldn't.
Whether I choose or not choose, do you not understand that this does not again fall under the purview of veganism? Veganism is trying to dismantle the commodification of animals. Animals are not being commodified there. Just like how, see, you paying taxes doesn't make you a first-degree murderer. You paying taxes does not make you a slave master. But if you hired a hitman today to kill someone, that does make you a killer, right?
But if I was providing resources to somebody who was committing a bad act, that I knew that they were committing immoral act, don't I have a moral responsibility to stop?
You have to be specific here. You have to be specific here with me. Like, exactly what kind of immoral act, what's the situation, what's happening?
For instance, if I'm going to use an extreme example. So, for instance, like if I had a psychopath neighbor and I knew that they were a psychopath, And as a neighborly thing, they asked, do you have a hammer? I could give it to them. I'd give to any of my neighbors. But I have this knowledge that this person's a psychopath. So don't I have a moral obligation to not give the hammer to them, because I know that they're a psychopath and I know that what they're going to use it for? Psychopath killer, to be specific.
Yeah, if you knew that they were a psychopath killer and you knew that they were going to use your hammer for killing someone, then yes, don't give them your hammer.
So that's the same question I asked you. So if you know that this brand is going to take the ink that they used to create your shirt, they're going to let out that excess ink onto a water body where fish happen to thrive, and it would kill countless number of fish. How is that any different? I think we do. Okay, I'm surprised. I think we do agree, but I'm just wondering.
No. I think I don't think you understand
seems
exactly.
anti-vegan.
No. You don't seem
for some reason.
You don't seem to understand the position I'm taking. See, like I told you, if I take a position, or if I have to give a framework that works, but if I now give an arbitrary statement saying that I will cause the least amount of suffering possible.
No, but
hold up. If I say something like that, then you can hold me accountable. I'm giving you clearly the framework within which I can create a change in society is remove the commodity status of animals. I can say that animals are no longer commodities. They should not be exploited. They are not resources. And by granting that right, we are solving. So the other issues you're talking about, we have to look at them on a different. They don't fall under veganism. Do you like not understand? This is again.
No, I don't understand that, because
this is again. I mean, okay.
I don't see how that's different from producing silk, and like why you'd be against.
Okay. My thing. You have to pay taxes, right?
Yes.
Can you suddenly be without paying taxes? No. Because you pay taxes and your taxpayer money probably has been used for horrible things. Does that now make you a first-degree murderer?
But I think you're using an example where I can't say no, right? I gave you an example where you can say that you would not, give your neighbor a hammer if you knew what they were going to use it for.
So then please give me then a proper logical solution for the problem you're stating right now. If you're stating that...
So what I expected you to say is that if there's a brand that you know that they dispose of their ink irresponsibly and it kills a bunch of sea life, then you would abstain from going with that brand. And you would choose a brand who you knew, their production method didn't involve killing sentient beings.
We are committing, this is what in English we call as a fallacy of false equivalence right now. Okay. Whether the brand is responsible or irresponsible, do you realize the fact that our actions will cause the death of animals and humans around us?
Yeah, but
inclusive, I'm being very clear here, humans and animals here, both. You understand that, right? Both.
Correct. But if for instance, if I did know that humans are being exploited to create a product, okay, and there are other alternate products, then I would go for the alternate products because I wouldn't want to contribute to that evil.
Right. So if an alternative source exists, obviously, then yes, I would want to choose that source. But that, again, I'm saying doesn't fall under the purview of veganism. We are now talking about environmentalism or something else. Do you understand the distinction, or do you really not understand? Can I be specific here? This is right now what we're talking about does not fall under the purview of veganism. You don't understand that at all.
Would you? See, okay, I think I understood what you're saying. What I feel that you're saying is when there's direct harm from a human to an animal, you are against that. But if it's indirect, if it's like collateral damage, and even if you're aware of it, you don't feel a moral obligation to stop doing it.
I don't feel a moral obligation to stop doing it. You can put it that way if you want to. But what I am trying to state is that, how do I even say this? Like, just like how we have civil rights, right? We are trying to have animal rights. We are trying to have something written in the Constitution. Right. I will be very specific what my demand is. My demand is animals are no longer classified as resources or commodities or objects to be sold and exploited and used by humans. That is what I'm aiming to fight for. That is clearly the line I'm giving you about veganism and animal rights. When you talk about animals being harmed elsewhere, it doesn't necessarily fall under this category. Do you not understand that? Like, do you understand that my very exit, first of all, you understand that if you want to again make the human-animal comparison here, the reason why it won't completely work is because humans, at the end of the day, we have a certain height, certain shape, certain look. And at a certain point, you can actually kind of communicate to the fellow human being. Maybe you can write like a law, a rule, have like what are these two countries signed between each other? They have these
Treaties.
You can have treaties. You can have some kind of understanding, because despite them having different opinions, the same species. Now, when it comes to the animal kingdom, there are literally billions of species. Some fly, some swim, some live underground, some are hostile towards us, some are friendly towards us, some try to kill us, some try to eat our resources. It's like the interactions with them is through the roof because of the variety there. So with that being the case, I cannot make a blanket statement saying that I will not take part in anything that hurts animals or anything that kills animals, because that just is not possible. I also am grounded in reality. But we can very well create a society in which we no longer commodify animals. We want to give animals the right to not be used as commodities. Therefore, by being vegan, we can completely solve that issue. The other issues you mentioned are issues, and we can talk about them if you want, but they don't fall under the purview of veganism. I don't know how to better explain this.
Okay, I'll just ask one like hypothetical to understand your position. So if let's say for you to get some good, okay, let's just say like you want some furniture, right? And this particular, to get this particular wood, like you'd have to endanger the survival of a certain animal in this particular area. Like, would you be okay in still buying that furniture?
I already am doing that. So the answer is yes, I already am doing that.
Okay.
I mean, do you not understand my very existence of you and me and us? Again, here's the point though. I just want to, if I can just have just a minute, please. Sorry. I want to emphasize one thing, because I want the audience watching to realize something. Yes, but I don't know why non-vegans are so hard-pressed to point out vegans, how their actions also harm other animals in their lives. They're very well aware of that. But I also want non-vegans to realize that their actions harm other humans as well, constantly. You could be maybe, I don't know, buying something from some online website, being shipped from across the world and coming to you. What if someone then, while it's being shipped, something happens in the cargo ship, someone dies? Like, do you understand the difference between first degree, there's three things, first degree homicide versus things that happen to happen?
But like, I think where I differ from you is if, like the example that I gave, if you know that something bad is going to happen, if you take part in something, then I think that you have a moral obligation to not take part in it.
So, okay, if that is what you're saying, Johan, can you please give me a framework for that? Like, what is the framework to work in that?
So that's the example that I gave to you. If there's a product, if that has alternatives, right? And I know that human exploitation is taking place to create one product, then I would choose the other product, because I don't want to, by taking part in this, I feel this was the vegan only. I'm actually very surprised. So I would actually not buy that product to disincentivize this type of human exploitation.
Yeah. Okay. Now here's the difference. The products that you're talking about, does a human have to be exploited for it, or can it also be made in a way without exploiting humans?
That's what I told you, right? There is an alternate product.
No, not alternate product. Let's say, for example, you're talking about like bad wages or overworking or employing children, something like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about like for instance, phone production. Okay.
All of that.
Let's just say that there is a company that you know that human exploitation is occurring in order to create the phone. Don't you feel like you have a moral obligation, like when there are other phones in the market, to not buy the phone where you know that humans are being exploited to produce it?
Yes, if the other alternative exists, yes, I do feel that. Yeah.
But how is that different in that example that I gave you? Like you have many shirt options, right?
Which options do I have?
In my hypothetical, you have.
See, that's the problem.
One moment. I told you very clearly from the beginning. Like, you have multiple options. In one option, you know that the ink that they use, they're going to dispose it off irresponsibly into a pond where there is sentient life, and all that life is going to get killed as a consequence of it. But there is another option where you know that they don't use that ink, or they use it more responsibly. Don't you feel like you have a moral obligation to choose the one where sentient lives are not killed?
The answer I would say is, if you're able to give me clearly night and day two different options, right? then yes. But again, I want to emphasize that does not fall under the purview of veganism.
Okay.
That does not fall.
So let me clarify. So unless a human being directly kills or directly causes harm to an sentient creature, you're a part of that. Unless that's the case, like you're not against indirect harm to animals, or you're saying the vegan worldview doesn't encompass indirect harm
towards animals or humans. I want to make it very clear, or humans.
Or humans.
Yes, yeah. Which is why I asked you, if you think it should, please give me the framework. I want to write this. What is the framework?
I told you the framework, right? I gave you a human example.
Not even an example. Tell me the framework. If I'm saying this, animals should not be exploited as commodities. Boom. That's a framework. I work within the framework. I want you to give me a framework for this then. Cause least amount of harm, or how do you...
Cause the least amount of harm, you could say, but more so that when there are alternatives, like if I knew that, like the example I gave, like when I know that there are other alternatives, I would not fund, by buying a product, a particular bad practice, say in this case, harming human beings or exploiting them in the creation of a product, because there are other products. So I wouldn't fund it. That is my moral principle that I follow.
Right. But imagine that a murderer was talking about this moral principle. Wouldn't you be like, first, like, okay, I get your moral principle, but you should first stop being a first-degree murderer?
Yeah, so basically, I get what you're saying. So you don't mind indirect harm to animals. The direct harm to animals, where say that we are getting the flesh of eating the flesh of animals or the skin of animals.
It's not about the product. It's not about the product we get.
But you talked about commodifying, right?
Commodifying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
is synonymous with.
It is synonymous.
Product.
Yes, it is synonymous. But it goes much deeper than, like, for example, zoos and circuses. They commodify animals. Pet industry commodifies animals. Right. So wherever commodification is taking place, that we can put into a framework and completely uproot it. The other thing you're talking about, it will not fit in a framework. And if I am someone who's now expounding upon an ideology or a philosophy, I have to give a framework, right? I can't just bluntly be like, oh no, just listen to A, B, C, D. Why? No reason, just listen to me. No, I am saying this is a framework, and this framework can be very well established in society. I have to give a framework. Do you get my point? Like, I cannot just outright... As I'm asking you, if you could give a similar framework, I'm asking you still, can you give a framework on this?
I've given you a framework.
You have not given me a framework. You're giving me examples.
I've given you a framework.
When you can choose an alternative, if I'm saying it right, when you can choose an alternative where the alternative does not involve the death of another organism, you must choose that alternative.
I give a human example. If there is a...
Not example. I want a framework. I want a sentence.
I would say that it's wrong to partake in an activity that you know is going to cause harm to humans when you can avoid it.
Okay. Now you'll find the list of problems with that. Now that you said that statement to me, right? Do you have to, just say for example, do you maybe buy like a few set of clothes every year?
Yes.
Do you have to? Maybe you can wear the same set of clothes for 10 years till they completely get torn off from piece by piece, and then you can choose to wear another one?
Sure,
but you don't do that.
No.
So where do we draw the line then?
But couldn't you argue similarly that, I could like get my nutrition from plants, but then I'd rather choose to also have meat as part of my diet?
No, I don't think you're getting to my point is this. Where do you draw the line? Which is why I keep stating a framework is important. When you make a statement like this saying that, I believe it ended with something you can, when you said the framework, right? You can is a very loose word. Many people can do certain things, can't do certain things. I'm asking you, so if I have to do the least amount, if I want to cause, quote unquote, the least amount of harm, I have to do the least amount of consumption. So do I now count my calories and consume exactly, say for my height and weight, I need around 2,500, 2,800 calories a day. But I can still survive on 1,500 calories a day. So do I count and only eat 1,500, eat only just enough to keep myself alive so I don't...
Do you?
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. There's no clear...
How is that different from an attitude of, like I don't need to eat a plant-based diet, but I choose to include meat as part of my diet?
The difference is that here you are clearly exploiting and commodifying animals, and I want to give them the right to not have that being done to them because they are sentient like us. And secondly, because a plant-based diet works. You and me seem to be clearly disagreeing on that, but I am saying a plant-based diet works.
But then, don't you think it's the same thing? Like in one place, like it's unnecessary. Like you could avoid harm to.
No, we're not talking about avoiding harm right now. We're talking now about the rights of animals. You have to see when we're talking about rights work inside a human society, human framework. Rights only work in society, not anywhere else, right? Only in human society can we use the word rights. Do you agree with that? So I have to give a particular set of rights to animals. What is the right I can give them? The right that I will cause the least amount of harm to them when it's convenient for me? That's not a proper right. The right to not be exploited or used as a commodity, resource, or object. Boom, done, set. And if I'm stating that as my framework and everything I'm saying fits within that framework, I don't understand. You are pointing out, fair enough, areas where other animals are getting killed because of my very existence. I am not agnostic of that. I am saying clearly it is happening.
But would you say confidently that that's not part of a vegan worldview?
It is not part of a vegan worldview, but one can definitely say that a vegan should take more. If I am to make the statement saying that, hey, I care for animals, I empathize with animals, means you would expect me to take this position as well. Yes, that's a fair statement of you to say, but it doesn't fall under veganism. Veganism and minimalism are two different things.
Why is the one thing different from the other? In one scenario, you're saying that I would eat more calories that I don't need, which could probably cause the harm of more food production would probably kill more animals. Versus and even that fish example with the ink that we discussed, versus non-vegan saying that I could live off a vegan diet, but like I don't care, like my needs
I don't care.
Matters.
See, I don't care is a different argument. I don't care. I don't have an answer to I don't care. Okay. I am saying that the non-vegan has to give me a framework within which they work. I am giving a framework within which I work. I am trying to tell the non-vegan, hey, the framework within which you work, and we have been over this in the philosophy part. I am saying to you, look how hypocritical it is. You are asking for all humans who are racist, sexist, who are terrorists and everything to show respect towards fellow humans, look at the similarities, not the differences, but you refuse to do that in animals when you can clearly choose to do so. You have no reason not to. With that being said, you violate the fundamental rights of those animals, and in society I'm saying we have to give them the right to not be exploited.
But my moral framework is, so the similarity between I spoke about human-centric morality, right? Like that I have a moral obligation to other human beings, and I gave you reasons to justify that, like I think empathy was one, and then social contract was another one that we discussed in utilitarianism.
Yeah, but
right? When it comes to animals, the reason why I don't draw this type of similarity is the only thing that I think is similar between me and an animal is a sensation of pain, right? And in that regard, I'm willing to draw a line and say that since that is a commonality, I know what pain feels like. I know that you feel pain. So therefore, in that regard, I'm willing to make an exception. But I don't see like how that's applicable. For instance, in a case where you're stunning an animal and killing
we've been over that. That's because I told you I am approaching it from an intrinsic value point of view. I told you, even for human rights, I want to approach it from I don't think you should not be harmed because you are of value to me, or because you not being harmed benefits me. It's not about me at all. It's only about you. You should not be harmed because you desire to live free and you don't want to be harmed. It's intrinsic, your value to not be harmed in society. Similarly, that value is found in animals, therefore they too should not be harmed. We've pretty much been over it. We don't have to, again, go in circles. So here's the thing. Do you have, apart from this argument, anything else in particular to bring up? I just want to know.
Yeah, I wanted to discuss about the survival point which we had which we touched upon earlier, or rather the sentient point which we touched upon earlier. Like you make this distinction that if an animal is sentient, then they by default shouldn't be killed, even if pain is not involved. Shouldn't be killed for food, like all the particular things that we agree
on. You can say jargon if you want, but there's a reason I repeat them over and over again.
Sure,
because if you don't, exactly.
Sure.
Go on,
So, I want to circle back to that. Like, how is it that magically, just because an animal is sentient, that it somehow gets this this moral consideration. When pain is not involved, it gets this moral consideration to not be killed.
Yeah, man. If I repeat this again, it'll be like I'm saying it for the 100th time. Sometimes I guess, you know what? Probably you're staring at me from there and thinking, what is wrong with this human being? I'm repeating the same question for the 10th time, and he's not answering. And I'm thinking, I'm telling this human being for the 10th time the same answer. Does he not understand? The moment they're sentient, hands off. It's over.
Okay.
We've already granted them the right. See, I told you, the moment they are sentient, they should no longer be exploited or commodified or used. Therefore, they are sentient. No more stunning or anything. Just leave them be. Let them be. They are here. You are here. You're sentient too. Oh, boom. No, you shouldn't. He's sentient. Leave him alone. That's it.
No, so then I'll get back to like, why do you think commodifying animals is wrong over like commodifying plants?
I mean, seriously.
Seriously.
Because like I said in the beginning, the demarcation line I draw is at sentience.
Correct. So that's why I
plant is
feel
not sentient.
Yeah, that's why I feel like you are somehow like smuggling. The sentience is basically, as you defined it, the ability for a creature to sense pain and to be conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I said is, if we remove those two aspects, then how does it? Where is the moral consideration for that? I think you keep saying that they were sentient and therefore by default
They are. They still are. Only when you do boom do they become were. You're not supposed to turn them into a were because they still are. That green thing behind you never was, never will be. Therefore, yes.
Yeah, but if but I think from what I'm trying to understand, if the like why you're keeping that supremacy of this experience of first person consciousness and pain, like why that
is the limiting factor.
That is like your moral bar. Like if it's sentient, then like hands off.
Yes.
Like because when I see like a lot of your arguments, it's that animals feel pain similar to us. And therefore, what they're doing in animal farming and all these factories, all these bad practices, those are evil. Those are immoral, and those are causing unnecessary suffering. But that's why I'm not able to bridge, because in a situation where those things are excluded, you're still saying that by default, that they by virtue of them having sentience, they shouldn't even be stunned.
Sure. Okay, let's put it this way. You agree that burning a living human being is wrong, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Burning of a dead human being is okay.
It's not okay according to me.
Oh, because of your religious belief. Okay, let's keep the religious part aside. Let's say cremation. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
If we're talking about cremation, burning of a religious person, a dead person is okay. So living person is here, burning them is wrong. Dead person is here, burning them is not the same. It's different. But Johan, if I kill this person, they become dead. So can I burn them now?
Yeah, but that's where I told you that there are other moral justifications for why murder is wrong.
Do you not understand the point here? Context. If I kill them, they become dead, right?
That's not the only factor, right?
But if I kill them, do they become dead or not? If I kill them, do they become dead?
Yeah, but killing them itself is wrong.
Thank you. So stunning them itself is wrong. That's the whole
point. Not, because I justified it. You didn't justify it.
You justified it.
I justified it with empathy, with reciprocity.
We never went through those. We never went. Almost a time, and we never went through those.
But so then you justify. I gave you those justifications. What is your justification?
To not do that to them.
Yeah,
it is under empathy, yes. Because see, if you want to form moral values, you have to have facts. You have to have then some kind of value, could be based on religious belief, or could be based on your feelings, or could be based on something else. You add them together and you derive morality, right?
But I just in my opening statement, I just explained how empathy, like there's so many studies that show how undeniable empathy
I noted them. You said showing empathy towards fictional characters, and then our animals do not grieve, anthropomorphizing animals. You went through all of this stuff. Like, I mean, if you want to very quickly right now rush through this, we can.
Go for it.
Yeah. So again, when I'm saying that a knife in my throat is just as harmful and painful as a knife in an animal's throat, that is not anthropomorphizing them. That's a fact.
Yes, but if you're saying that by virtue of them being sentient, killing a sentient animal is equivalent to killing a sentient human, then that isn't a fact, right?
No, because now we have jumped from a fact to a moral statement, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that is
that
what
jump
I'm
will, that
asking.
jump will not work. That jump will not work, obviously.
That's what I'm asking you about.
What I'm saying is the current.
Your examples are always like it's wrong in the human context, therefore it's wrong in the animal context. I have stated clearly the justification for why it's wrong in a human context. You have to provide me the justification for why it's wrong in an animal
what
context.
I'm saying is that just like how you have provided me why it's wrong in a human context and probably why a racist or a misogynist or a terrorist will not probably accept your reasoning, in the same way, I am saying to you, whatever reasons we have right now, that we are based on intrinsic value, that intrinsic value of human beings, if we were to grant them rights based on that, we are not doing that right now in society, but if we are to do that, granting them based on intrinsic value, that same intrinsic value is found in the animal and therefore it's immoral to exploit them. They fall in the same category.
So I think you're drawing like a distinction between a drive to survive and a desire to survive. Do you think they're interchangeable?
A drive to survive is different from the desire. I would have to think on this. A drive
because like if I asked you like, then why is it you're saying as long as the creature doesn't want to die, right? As long as it's in their nature to want to survive, then it's wrong. They have intrinsic value and it's wrong to kill them, right? And I would argue that plants have a drive to survive.
That's why good. That's why I used in the beginning also I said that about the word want to survive. I said not they might strive to survive, but they don't want to survive because want requires a mind.
But you're just making like an arbitrary difference, right? Because the plants based on their evolutionary development, their drive to survive, it tends to manifest that way, and our drive to survive tends to manifest in us wanting to live.
Yes,
right. But it's just a very arbitrary line. There's no difference between one or the other.
Oh, there is quite some difference.
Both have the drive to survive. You are drawing an arbitrary distinction that one is conscious of it and the other isn't. So the one that's conscious of it, morally wrong. The one that isn't like self-aware,
yes,
that is okay.
Yes, exactly.
Now I'm drawing another line saying that the one that is self-aware, if we remove that self-awareness, then it's not morally wrong. And you're saying just by virtue of them being able to experience sentience, that is consciousness and pain, we cannot even like stun them to begin with.
Yes, exactly. You're kind of phrasing it exactly correctly. Yes, you're phrasing it correctly.
But then still, if I fall back on your other argument, the desire to live gives intrinsic moral worth, right? Both the plants and the animals have the drive to survive.
Yeah, we move from now.
Yeah, okay. I'll fall back. I feel this is the most strong argument, so I'm going to go with this. You're just forming a very arbitrary distinction between conscious awareness of that drive and just living out that drive. In fact, you could argue that that conscious awareness of the drive is in a way, a biological response to that drive. Like we are just expressing this drive in this way. Like if you try to put something hot on me, then I'm going to move my hand away. I'm expressing that drive to survive. And a plant just expresses it in a different way. Then why is it wrong, morally wrong? Like why? How do you just take this? How do you justify that plants don't have intrinsic worth by this definition?
The reason I do that is because at the end of the day, I have to eat to survive. Okay, I can't be a breatharian. I have to eat. I have to live in this world. I have to do things. In that regard, I have right now a spectrum. Sentience, would you agree, is a spectrum? It starts from here. It's not like perfect, like numbers. Okay, over here. In this spectrum, I know for a fact that the organisms here do not suffer, feel pain, and are not conscious. These ones suffer, feel pain, and are conscious just like me. It starts with me. I am a sentient, conscious being. Therefore, I give my consideration to sentient, conscious beings. So those were, since I have to pick from this spectrum to survive, I pick on the ones who are not like me.
So you are you could call yourself a sentientist. You're basically saying that just because the animal expresses its drive to survive similar to me, I'm going to give it intrinsic value, and I'm not going to give a plant which manifests its drive to survive differently from me, I'm not going to give it intrinsic value.
You are perfectly correct to say that. Yes, that's exact. That's precise. You're
I
the
think this is
first
what I
person to
wanted
phrase
to
it so well. You're the first person to phrase it perfectly.
I think this is what I wanted to arrive on in the beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that I don't agree with your moral stance.
Mhm. So what
I
do
think
you-
it's extremely arbitrary. It's extremely based on it's based on empathy a lot. It's based on your perception of which species or which creature deserves to live.
not which species, because I'm
Which
basing
creature,
it.
creature in the sense between plants and animals.
In that
yeah,
regard. In that
yeah,
regard. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. In that regard. Yeah. In
It's,
that.
so yeah, it's arbitrary.
So if I may just ask you one thing before we wind things
Sure.
up, Johan.
Go.
What would your idea of an ideal society be then? Could you please tell me?
I think an ideal society would be a society where we valued one another, because our well-being is dependent on the well-being of each other. Whether we see it, whether everyone sees it that way or not. I can state examples for that, but I'll not waste our time doing that. I think an ideal society would be a society in which, in the context of animals, that we would give consideration to animal suffering, because they, or rather animal pain, because they experience pain similar to us. And we try to avoid that as much as possible. But in my worldview, I am okay. For me, every human life is the most important, and every other life is, in comparison, indispensable as far as the ecological balance is maintained.
Can I just
And
ask you
for me,
something?
I'll just finish my worldview. And for me, the only consideration, or the only similarity that I have with animals, that I know that they're experiencing pain, because I experience pain as well. That for me seems to be the only similarity between me and the animal, and that is my only moral consideration. Apart from that, for me, killing a plant which has a drive to survive, killing an animal which has a drive to survive, for me, they're exactly the same. If you remove the pain aspect.
You said human life is more important in your view.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think that's the view of most humans.
Yeah,
like we wouldn't.
Hold on,
If people
I have a
had your
question.
view of that, human life and animal life are the same. It wouldn't be sustainable.
Yeah. So you said human life is more important to you, right? Now I just want to know if you, in a few lines, simple lines, can just state why you feel that in a very few simple lines. What do you see in a human that feels that gives them superior moral worth?
I am a human myself. I feel every morality, like even your own, it stems from yourself, right? When you value yourself the most, and beyond that, you value your family, because they're your closest genetic relationship. And then you tend to, based on similarities, you tend to probably empathize more with humans than you do with animals. And then when it comes to animals, as the studies show, you empathize more with animals that are similar to humans than you do with animals that are more different from humans. So it is all very centered around me. I think that's a very
Isn't that
honest.
arbitrary as well? If
Why is it
I
arbitrary?
say that I am also a sentient conscious being, therefore I am putting my circle of compassion towards sentient conscious beings and not towards the insentient green life behind you, it's called arbitrary. But when you say that you will do it only towards humans because they are similar to you and stuff, because your family and your neighbors, that's not arbitrary, and you'll stop exactly when it comes to other sentient conscious beings. It's not arbitrary.
So I am agreeing that I'm drawing a line.
It's arbitrary.
You aren't.
My point is this. All I want to say is, if you...
It's not arbitrary, Arvind. Like I'd like to justify that every species tends to vouch for and protect its own.
That is so not true. We kill each other in the millions.
We do, and animals do also kill one another. But we have a propensity to value the lives of our own over other species and other living creatures.
Yeah, and we also value the life of many people value the life of their race, their religion, their creed, their group, and they diminish the value of those around them as well. That also happens in our species.
That also happens.
Yeah. So you draw the line. Your line is also arbitrary then.
I agree that my line is arbitrary in so much, or rather, I would say I will grant you that I am drawing some line around human beings, which I think that every species does. Okay, and I'm doing the same thing. And when it comes to, like we spoke about the in-group, out-group, they are drawing some similarities amongst themselves and discriminating between them and others. And the only way they can come out of that is if they find that they are also similar to other people, and they will benefit from when the people around them benefit, or rather.
What if they don't benefit, Johan? Is it then justified still? Even if they, what if they benefit
doesn't
from
matter.
the
So
discrimination? What if they benefit from the discrimination?
You see, you are now evoking objective morality, right? Which I don't think is granted from a secular perspective. If a person is a tyrant, right, and he and his kingdom rules, according to him, what he does would be right, and that would be right according to him, wrong according to the minority or the people who are not in a position to question them or to change the reality. Until that changes, until that group which was disempowered becomes empowered, they join together, they band together, and then they fight the tyrant and they fight for their rights.
So, but okay, I just want to speak for 30 seconds if I can.
Sure.
I honestly feel that every time we get into this topic, it delves into this philosophy, and not everyone, many people do. And I believe that going this deep into philosophy on a subject that is just so simple and easy to understand is just unwarranted. And honestly, if I can, let me finish my piece. It is intellectually, I'll say, dishonest, because this is simple stuff. This is basic stuff. To say right now that, of course, it's objective morality. There is no such thing as objective morality. Yeah, you're right. There is no such thing. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But does it really matter? Do we really not understand right from wrong, violence from non-violence? Do we not understand when injustice and justice? Why only when we go and talk about animal rights and specifically about animals for being exploited for certain reasons, for food reasons, people are like, no. Now we have all sorts of philosophies and in-depths we want to go into. And we never look at it from that perspective in any other human rights issue. We never, when we read in the paper about human rights struggles or issues or genocide or any kind of horrible things happening in the world, thinking, well, is there really objective morality? I just find that this entire thing we are delving into too deeply unnecessarily. This is basic, simple stuff. Just like how you are asking the racists or the terrorists to show moral consideration towards other human beings, I am asking human beings to show moral consideration towards animals, which is very much doable. And I'm giving step-by-step instructions as to how to do that as well. So here's the thing. I think at this point we have to wind it up. What we'll do is we'll give you right now a chance to give your closing statement if it's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
I will not interrupt you at all. And once you're done, I'll also speak. Certain things I say, I won't be disrespectful, but you may not like what I'm saying. But we both will have to be honest, and you also feel free to please speak your mind as to what you want to say.
Sure. I think my closing remarks would be that just to respond to what you said. Why are we like this very simple, right? Why are we like delving too much into the philosophy of it? I don't think first of all, that's not a valid argument. Just because other things are taken casually, it doesn't constitute what's right, or it doesn't constitute for a valid argument, right? And I conversely think that it isn't simple, right? You have based, at least according to me, based on my understanding, you have based your entire argument on empathy in so much as you're comparing, you're equating humans to animals, and there is no data whatsoever to corroborate that. And I think that's a big issue, right? When your entire moral philosophy rests on something as arbitrary as empathy, right? Which we know, which I share in the studies, is extremely unreliable, especially when it comes to animals. Like, we tend to empathize more with animals that are similar to us than with animals that are dissimilar, right? So I don't think personally that it's arbitrary. I'd like to restate my position, which I think that animals shouldn't, I think it's okay to kill animals for human purposes as long as pain is not involved. And I haven't heard a convincing argument for you to counter that. So I think, I'll just give the time over to you.
Sure. So for my closing remarks, I just first want to say to the audience, in fact, my previous rant was pretty much a closing statement. I already had a pretty big rant there. But I just want to comment on probably one thing that Johan said right now, and that is that animals, vegans are giving priority towards animals that are similar and animals are dissimilar. That is just so not true. We want to give equivalent rights to all sentient beings in society. When I come forward and I make a claim, it's important that I give a framework under which we function and work and what we're trying to establish. And the framework under which we want to function is that animals should not be exploited or used by humans as commodities. It is very much possible to build that society we humans do not need, we can very much move forward to a society where we completely remove all animal exploitation completely and we still live absolutely happy, healthy, and fine. People have reasons, unfortunately, to do what they do. And many times our reasoning is just that it tastes good. Our reasoning is just that it's always been done that way. And our reasoning is just to say that, hey, they are not us, so why should I care? The unfortunate thing is that those exact same people I've seen not just here, but multiple times in multiple podcasts and multiple classroom debates, is that they would not want that same rule to be applied to them under any circumstance. They would never let such kind of statements or anything fly when injustice is falling upon them. But the moment we bring in animals that they exploit, we have to suddenly now talk about what is objective morality or subjective morality or what is this and what is that, and go so deep. To say that we don't have to go deep, fine, would be a cop-out. I'm not saying we don't have to go so deep. What I'm saying is that when it comes to empathy, as much as you can say empathy maybe can be random, we're stating it on a concrete thing here, the fact that is, this animal can suffer just like me. I do not want to suffer or have a negative stimulus done to me. Therefore, by applying empathy, we just do not apply that negative stimulus to this animal because we don't have to. Like, there are also multiple areas in which also I can understand and appreciate that we humans are taking part in that do harm animals. And as we move towards the vegan world, we vegans would be willing to solve those as well. But not everything falls under the purview of veganism. As long as people eat animals, as long as people wear animals, we're not going to get anywhere. When it's like saying to someone who likes to kill for fun, don't kill where you don't have to kill for fun. Like, how is that even a convincing answer for them? We first have to convince people and let them know that they don't, exploiting animals in the name of food and clothing and culture and religion is immoral and not right. And only after that shift is made can we even move towards addressing the other issues. But regardless, I too have now gone on my own tangent. It'll be difficult for me to close this, but I want to say, Johan, thank you so much for coming to the show. I hope you were also given a fair chance to represent. I hope you don't feel like you were like cut short too much or anything like that.
Not at all.
Because at the end of the day, I want to very much invite people who are against my point of view. That's the whole idea. I don't want to create an echo chamber. And I want to give them a platform to speak and then let both sides collide and the people watching decide what they feel is right. So thank you so much for your time, Johan.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, Arvind. I just like to, I'm interested in these type of discussions. Although we didn't come to any common ground yet, I'm interested in these type of discussions. I think people should think about veganism as a moral philosophy or as a way of life. Definitely requires consideration. And I'm interested in having conversations like this. If you are also a person who likes to be rational and follow the evidence where it leads, you can follow me on Instagram. I have a page. My Instagram handle is Johan J Christopher. So you can follow me on there, and hopefully, like I can have more discussions about topics around philosophy and ethics.
Yeah, and definitely please do via email send me the link to your Instagram, so I'll put that up on screen for them.
Done.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks,
awesome.
Arvind.
Thank you.